Cool, cool. Okay, looking good. We're looking good. Okay, cool. Right. Yeah, we can start getting some debates going, some conversations going. Yeah, as always, we've got to start by waiting for people to join the queue so we can bring them up onto the stage and talk to them. Yeah, looking to answer people's questions today, to have some conversations with the audience on camera. Well, it doesn't have to be on camera, just your voice is fine. So yeah, if you want to come up on the stage, let's do it right away. Yeah, we've got someone trying to join already, so let's bring them up and answer their questions about total extinction. Hello.
James.
How you doing?
Doing exceptionally radiant tonight.
Oh, good.
How are you?
Great. Yeah, good. I've got my summer shirt on today.
Oh yeah. Very nice. Although you're inflicting suffering on me with that shirt. I think you should change
That's the
your
idea.
shirt.
Yeah, that's the idea.
But isn't it only right to end all suffering?
No, we have to make the oppressors suffer a little bit so that they understand that suffering is bad.
Okay. Yeah, I see that now. Now, let's retouch up on our conversation from last night.
Yep.
Are you prepared to have an open faith linear conversation?
The thing is, I feel like you can't speak normally. That's the problem with philosophers. That's the problem with people that have certain conditions. They just can't have a normal conversation, right? And so they have to say, right, well, define that word, define that word, define that word. It's like, it just never ends, basically.
Yeah, but if you don't define,
you have Google, you have
using.
dictionaries for that, you have Google for that, you have common sense for that, right? Trying to have like an insanely concrete definition for every single word we use, that's like escaping from intelligence itself and pretending to be smart while saying, oh, we need to define that first, right? It's not a real way to have a conversation.
Well, no, if we have this internalized rationale and if we are of a rational kind, where we're able to engage in conscious decision making.
Well, there's a reason people don't read philosophy books and don't like talking to philosophers. It's because they're completely up their own behind. You know, they're not living in the real world. You can't have a real conversation with them. They think they're a lot smarter than they actually are. They talk in this like really posh way that it's cringe, right? And you can't have a real conversation with them because they're off in a different world, in a fantasy land.
But you do understand that everything in respect to reality holds some form of philosophy. Like you.
Yeah, but for some people, it's like, you're the type of person that would be like, if I were a police officer and I saw a crime, I'd have to read some Nietzsche before deciding what to do, right? It's a mental disability. It's like saying we need to overthink everything. But no, that's not what we should be doing.
A mental disability is
literally
like making interpretations of reality based on given context. Oh, okay. So what you're telling me is,
it might as well be schizophrenia.
I follow natural law theory,
I'm
autistic.
It might, yeah, probably.
Oh, okay. And because I'm an epistemic nihilist, I must have Down syndrome then, right?
I mean, maybe something even worse than that.
Damn, that's kind of crazy. So are you like a eugenicist by chance, James?
Yes, absolutely. We believe that, people would benefit from better genetics, of course.
Oh, okay. So, for example, let's just say it was statistically and empirically proven that black people were deemed less than, and it was just simply because there were all of these disadvantages associated with the pigmentation of their skin. Okay, you would want to go ahead and say, oh yeah, like let's just unalive all the blacks.
No, because the thing is, it's about all of humanity. So you're being racist right there, but it's about every single race. So
how is that
there's
racist?
no need. So there's no need to make it a race thing. It's about humanity as a species.
Wait, so you don't think pigmentation is going to be a genetic sequence?
Yeah, of course I do. But I'm saying that every human, regardless of their race, has the same mental disability that you've got.
So, James, how can suffering only exist within the mind?
Say again?
How can suffering only exist within the mind?
See, this is exactly the type of question that just doesn't make any sense to anyone, and you have to be in like La La Land to think that anyone, that I or any of the audience are going to have a clue what you're saying, what you're asking. You know, just go and read a philosophy book and leave us alone, okay? That's clearly all you want to do, is to just read difficult words and think, ooh, that sounds interesting. That's it. That's the limit of your ability to think. That's it. Like we don't want that. Go and sit in a corner with a book and leave us alone to actually discuss the real topics. Okay, the queue is. Oh yeah, we got someone. We got an Ahmad coming up. Hello, how you
Hey
doing?
brother, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm good, bro. I was just saying that I keep following your content and stuff like that. It's really amazing. You're talking very logic, and I really respect and appreciate it. So right now, I also don't want to have kids. I mean, like, because as you said, it's like suffering to someone to force them to come in this world without their own agreement, you know? It's like very hard.
Yeah, yeah. The problem is that if we have less children, then wild animals will suffer more and worse, and we won't be able to cause animal extinction unless we keep having kids until after we've completed animal extinction. So we need to temporarily keep having more humans. Now, people that only care about humans, they're just not going to have kids, but people that care about all suffering, all species, the whole picture, they're going to work for everyone in an organized way. People like antinatalists are trying to take action into their own hands, but you know they're not trying to do it in an organized or a systemic way, right? They're saying, I'm just going to do this one little action, which is actually an inaction, right? So I just made a video about how antinatalists are doing nothing and then claiming to be heroes, right? They didn't have a kid, and then suddenly they think they're a saint, they think they're an angel for doing literally nothing. So that doesn't help animals. It doesn't help anyone else. We have to have a universal system for everyone. We can't just say, I'm not going to have a kid and that's it, right? That doesn't help animals. It doesn't help anyone else. So we have to actually help everyone. And that's what our movement is doing.
Yeah, 100%. And I really support the idea that you're trying to make it easier for the people that they don't want to live anymore because they are done with suffering. They are done with daily tasks all the time that they have to fight with their own demons to get the hell out of their bed. It's like a very good choice. So we can also have, I don't know what's the word in English, but that injection so they
Yeah.
can end their life and they'll end all the suffers. Because
Yeah.
I also don't want, bro, with all of this, I ask myself why I have to go every day and work very hard, and deal with toxic coworkers and lots of things, man.
Yeah. It's horrible. You know, we never asked for this, right? It was forced onto us.
Yeah, 100%. And so my family, they are religious, but I'm not, and I don't believe in religions, stuff like that. When I keep asking them logical question, they just want no. In this kind of stuffs, you're not going to ask questions, and it's just from God. What God, bro?
Yeah.
Like if there is
Yeah.
a God, all the suffering over here. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
The problem is that humans evolved to be stupid and to be illogical, because that way they would have more children. So we are the anomalies, the rare ones, the genetic mutations, because that goes against evolution and nature, right? We're the ones saying that life is a bad thing, whereas humans have evolved to illogically think that it's a good thing, right? That's how evolution works. It sort of reinforces that behavior and way of thinking. So yeah, do activism with us, Ahmed. Join the movement officially. Start doing activism with us.
Of course. Of course, I would share your content. I really respect it. And also, I forgot to say another thing. My parents, they are forcing me to get married and have kids. I asked them, can you please tell me how can I know that my kids, they want to be born in this world? I cannot just bring another human being over here without knowing that they want, or without knowing, because it's 100% chance of suffering. It's like every day is like suffering, you know? So it's very hard with family also. but I don't want to have kids.
Yeah. Ahmed, thank you for joining us. And yeah, read our website, join the movement properly. The Discord and the WhatsApp are at the bottom of the page on the website. There's a link to the website on my profile, so you don't even have to type it in. You can just click on my profile. Okay, let's see who else we got. We've got May joining us now. May is desperate to... Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, how you doing?
So, one step, I would say, yeah, there's a ton of suffering, but let's say that, how would you even go about this? You can't really, because if you like nuke it, then there's a chance that
Yeah, no,
life
we
would still
wouldn't use
exist.
nukes. Yeah, so we would start with animal extinction while removing our dependence on them. Then we start to research how to develop life coming back on Earth and as much of the
No,
universe as we can. And then we make humanity go extinct once it's no longer useful.
you would have to nuke it to like,
No,
that's the
no,
only way.
nukes. No. Nukes will not cause extinction. The last asteroid had the power of 1 billion nukes and didn't cause extinction.
So how will you go about it?
Euthanasia.
No, then other animals would still exist.
Yeah,
So
but
there's a chance that we'll have to restart all over.
No. You just keep going with euthanasia, and you carry out, total extinction eventually.
Well, there's still going to be like plants and stuff, and we're evolved from monkeys, so like that could eventually happen again.
Yeah,
We'd
so we
have
get
to
rid of the
start all
plants. So
over.
we get rid of the plants then.
And furthermore, if we do that to everything on our planet, then other planets would still exist, and the universe would still exist. So
Our movement is for universe-wide extinction.
yeah, how do you do that? You can't do it.
Why not?
Well, like there's no physical way that we can do it, so we're
Well,
stuck.
just because something's not possible today doesn't mean we can't make it possible tomorrow.
Okay, tell me the plan.
Okay.
There's no
yes.
plan. It's impossible.
All right, mate, that's it. You're out of here. Stop giving misinformation, saying there's no plan. There is a plan, right? So shut up and go and educate yourself. Okay, moving on. Yasef coming up next. Yasef, bringing you on. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Doing all right. I've seen you before on here. I've never tried to come on the panel before, but this is the most bizarre. This is the most bizarre thing I have ever seen. But I gotta say, I understand. I think I get the concept. Of course I don't agree with it, but I kind of get it. Why would you want suffering
Right.
when you can eliminate it? Right.
Well, yeah, we
basically.
should have a suffering-free world. Why wouldn't you agree with that?
Okay, so it would be great to have a suffering-free world, and I'm sure you've had this conversation 100,000 times, but it would be great to have a suffering-free world. But if there's no one around to experience the pleasantness of no suffering, then why does it matter?
Well, yeah, but if you could stop a child abuser from, spawning a child in his dungeon and then abusing it to death, right? You wouldn't say that, no, we have to let them be abused to death, otherwise they won't be able to enjoy, you see how it just doesn't make sense, right? You can't even finish that sentence. It's so irrational.
Yeah, and I totally get where you're coming from on things like that. I cannot argue with that. No,
That's it. You can't abolish that without total extinction.
it's like I imagine traffic, right? Driving on the road. It's impossible that no automobile accidents would ever happen.
Yeah,
In other words,
exactly. So life is unethical because it causes suffering, it causes unacceptable suffering, and it will always be unethical. There's no way to live an ethical life in this world without trying to abolish all suffering, because otherwise you're saying, yeah, I'm just going to benefit from the suffering and crack on with my own life and enjoy it, right? Enjoy the system of cruelty.
Well, to figure out where I can take the conversation, are you at all? Do you at all, or you're a movement, right? Like,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of you guys, and
Yeah.
do y'all have like a name or like a name for the movement, or?
Well, the movement's called the Pro-Extinction Movement. You can check out our website. There's a link on my profile. You can read more about it. And yeah, we've got dozens of people making videos on TikTok and Instagram and everywhere and asking people to join. So, if I get 10 new activists and each of them gets another 10, then we're going to grow a lot. And that's what we are doing.
Yeah. So with as far as where to take the what angle to come from in the conversation, because I got a lot of things I'd like to kind of throw out there, but are you guys atheists or
Atheist? Yeah, we follow the scientific method. We're atheist. As rational as possible, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So I got it. I got it. So if you were to accomplish this plan and all human life was wiped out and there were no more animals and there was you guaranteed basically that we could not come back as a species.
Yep.
Then it would just be basically a dead universe.
Well, you see, it's not just a universe, right? The thing is, we're effectively in hell. So yeah, making sure that there's no life in hell is the best thing that we can do.
Is there a heaven to you?
The only heaven would exist if we can create it with technology. And, if that ever happens, then great. But if not, then, extinction is always going to be the priority. That heaven thing, that's about pleasure. It's irresponsible. It's unethical. Helping the sufferers, that takes priority. And it's always going to be more important.
Well, how about this? Do you think that consciousness itself, consciousness in a state of balance, don't you think that would be a great target?
No, because that ignores all of the sufferers and the victims. So, we have to prioritize them. Otherwise, you're saying that some suffering is acceptable if you get some pleasure out of it. And that's the exact same morality that child abusers use, right? Their pleasure justifies the child suffering.
No. I don't mean with suffering going on in the world around you. What I mean is achieving a state of consciousness collectively as a species.
But does that prioritize the sufferers, though?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is to eliminate suffering by creating a world, a society that actually has balance. And
so heaven, basically. So you're talking about heaven, right? But heaven doesn't exist.
I don't mean a whimsical fairy tale spiritual plane of existence. I mean,
that's what it would have to be truly safe, though.
If you eliminated the all of the cataclysms in the universe, let's say,
right, but how long is that going to take, and how many are going to suffer in the meantime for this selfish pursuit, right? So no, that's not acceptable. That's not going to help the sufferers at all.
So you would basically, okay, what would stop asteroids, things in the universe from colliding, what you would call disasters or
but look, it's not relevant. Like, you might as well be saying, how do we become God tomorrow? It's like, that's not relevant. Okay, we can do extinction for the animals and the people that are suffering. They need realistic solutions, not asteroids from the other side of the galaxy.
Okay, well, I guess I'll come from more of a personal standpoint here with it. Okay, so let's say that your organization or an organization like yours became big enough to where it could call the shots now on the
That's the
planet.
plan. That's the plan. Yeah.
And they decided, okay, we are going to systematically shut down the human race.
Yeah.
We're going to unalive everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, for people like me who are not about the suffering, who don't approve of the suffering, but at the same time do not cause the suffering.
But allowing
So,
suffering is just as bad.
I would be
No,
unalive.
you're not better just because you don't cause suffering. If you walk past a child that needs help and don't help them, you're allowing it, and that's just as bad as causing it.
But that's not people like me.
Yeah, but you just said I'm better because I don't cause it. But if you allow it, then that's just as bad. It's the same.
But I'm saying there are those of us who aren't about allowing it. You know, if I don't know something's going,
If you're not about allowing it, then join the pro-extinction movement.
No, because
So you're going to allow it instead,
your life.
right? So you are allowing it.
How am I allowing it?
You're doing nothing to stop it.
Will I do what I can? In other
No,
words,
you're not doing anything
lot of-
to abolish all
there's a-
suffering.
there's a homeless.
Are you doing
epidemic.
anything to abolish all suffering, right? To work towards a system for all.
I don't have the
No.
power myself.
Well, you do. Of course you do. I'm doing it, right? So you have no excuse.
How are you doing it?
Look, it can take 60 seconds a day to make a text video on TikTok, right? There's no excuse for not doing activism. I'm making videos, I'm live streaming, I'm doing other stuff for the movement. But yeah, it can take 60 seconds a day to do effective activism. There's no excuse.
Yeah, but when I'm out and about, I give money to the homeless.
Yeah, but that's doing nothing. That's doing nothing to abolish all suffering. That's keeping the suffering going. That homeless person's going to have another kid and force them to suffer, right? So it's doing nothing to help.
So you think if I were to become an activist and participate in activism, that would be more effective in ending this?
That's the difference between selfishly enjoying this world and actually taking action to help people and help the world.
Okay, I'm all about, joining activism, but I would not join activism to end life. I would
What
join
about to end
activism
suffering?
to end suffering, yes.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Well, I believe that
So you wouldn't do activism to end suffering then?
okay, it's going to take a process to accomplish what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, but we have to start, right? Not look for excuses.
Okay, so let's say it took 80 years to accomplish what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? So in 80 years' time, hypothetically, this was achieved. All right. So you could go in the complete opposite direction. In 80 years' time, you could reteach an entire generation or two generations of people.
I'm sorry, Joseph, you're not going to teach animals to stop eating each other. And yeah, you're not really listening, right? You want to keep being a hypocrite. You want to keep just not doing activism when you know that we live in an incredibly evil world run by criminals, right? And yeah, throwing $1 to a homeless person is it's not good enough, right? That's it's like buying an indulgence from the church so that you can carry on sinning, basically. It's like, oh, I've done my part, back to the abuse and exploitation then. Doesn't work like that. If you're just enjoying the evil system that we live in, then you are evil, basically.
Hello, can you hear
Hello,
me?
how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So I just have a question for you. Do you think by ending all suffering, that is like the most rational thing to do by taking everyone's life?
Yeah.
Doesn't that also eliminate all potential good?
It eliminates the good in the life of the child abusers, but it eliminates the extreme suffering for the child being abused. So yeah, it eliminates the joy of the abusers, but it provides safety for the abused. So yeah, it's a perfect system.
So then it's morally justified that you just go into a school and just shoot up the whole place, right?
No.
Why not? You're ending the people's suffering.
Because that would be taking action into your own hands and doing it in an irresponsible way. So yeah, we have to do it responsibly and in an organized and systematic way, right? Otherwise, you're just going to have random acts of violence. And that actually is very counterproductive. For every human that exists right now, it prevents wild animal suffering. And we need more humans so that we can have enough people to actually carry out animal extinction before doing human extinction.
Okay, great, understandable. So what about people that don't want to go extinct? What about if they do not consent to wanting to unalive to end their suffering? Are you just going to do it anyway? If
Yeah.
the mass majority agrees to it?
Well, we wouldn't even rely on majority agreement. We're going to do it, whether people consent or not.
Isn't that causing more suffering?
No, extinction ends suffering.
Extinction and suffering. It also eliminates
how many
possibilities of
extinct
anything
animals are suffering right now?
None.
Oh, well, good.
Why is suffering bad though?
So, you're one of those types of people that doesn't understand why child abuse is bad.
No, child abuse is bad. Why can't we just eliminate the person that's going to commit the child abuse or committed the child abuse? Why do we have to
Because
eliminate
that's not
the child?
realistic. Because that's not realistic. You can't. What are you going to do? Minority report, right? It's just
There's
not
death
realistic.
penalties.
Yeah, but
There's
that's
death
too little,
penalties.
too late. That's too little, too late.
So then we just unalive the child.
No, we have total extinction.
We have total extinction. So wait, that doesn't follow. So you're saying if one person abuses a child, and then because of that, we just unalive everyone so that we end all suffering?
Well, you think we live in a world where one child is being abused and that's it?
No.
Well,
Is
it
that the
sounds
only
like
thing
you
you're
do,
looking at?
or you're straw manning, basically. So, yeah, I think we could move on to the next person. Yeah. Oh, so you want to make everyone extinct for one child? Well, firstly, I would do that. And secondly, is there only one child suffering in this world? Why are you straw manning? Why are you using, what sounds like a terrible argument, when you make it sound terrible, right? And actually, again, yeah, no child deserves to suffer and to be molested just so that you can have fun. So yeah, even one child, total extinction, absolutely. Okay? Because otherwise, look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. You either have a zero tolerance policy on suffering like we do, or the only other choice is an infinite acceptance policy on suffering, right? Unlimited suffering is acceptable. You can't limit it to one child, and you can't say that they're only going to suffer at 6 out of 10. How are you going to do that, right? So it's either no suffering or all suffering, right? Right now we have all suffering, right? Complete suffering acceptance. That's why, yeah, you can, you have child abusers spawning children into their basements. You have animals suffering terribly, and no one plans to do anything about this. And you can say, oh, you eliminate the child abusers. Okay. What are you doing to do that? Nothing, right? So you're being a hypocrite. You're giving fake advice that you don't even believe in yourself. It's unbelievable. Okay, let's see who else we got in the queue. Alikoshim is asking, why did you block me on WhatsApp? Because you were trolling, right? Told you I'm not an antinatalist, that antinatalism is bad for suffering, bad for extinction, and you just didn't get it and started spam calling me. Of course I blocked you. Hello, how you doing?
Is it satire?
No.
Oh, okay, but okay, I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks for coming on. Moving on to our next guest, we've got, let's see, Tori Kane, no, Ravelli. We've got a few ghosts in the queue. Okay, Ravelli coming on. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, good, thank you.
I'm not actually against any of this. I was just pointing more to the fact that nature will always win against these type of things,
Why is that?
regardless. Because think about before we were born, there was nothing for us, no suffering or any of that. But like now, there's possibility for that. I assume that if we go extinct, everything goes extinct. It's gonna have another new beginning
Where? When?
somewhere.
Well, we should try and prevent that.
I mean, but I'm more pointing to the fact that like this might, like, even if it's successful, it might just go like back to us. Like it's just gonna start over again.
So if we can help 5 out of 10 people, we shouldn't help any. That's your advice.
No. We should help every single person, regardless of any.
And how are you going to do that?
How are you?
Total
How are we
extinction.
gonna-
That's how
how
you're
are
going to
we
do
gonna
it. Look, you can't say total extinction is the worst way to prevent suffering. That just doesn't make sense.
How are we approaching this now? Like, and how is this actually helping people like day to day?
That's funny that you asked that, right? That's something a slave owner would ask, right? How is this anti-slavery activism helping anyone today? You want to abolish slavery 5 years from now. You're working towards it. What's it doing today? It's not good enough. So we should keep slavery going. That's basically what you're saying.
No, I can't lie. Yeah, I can tell. I can tell you're obviously smarter than most.
Okay, thanks, Ravelli. You're out of here. Okay, moving on. We've got Tata coming up next. Tata, hello. How you doing? Loading them in. Loading them in. Okay, they're not loading. Let's see who else we got. Noodles. Let's try Noodles. Hello, how's it going?
Hi, good morning. I don't know what time it is there. I had a question because how would you, in an ideal scenario, go about the extinction? In what way would it happen?
So for animals, we would use euthanasia and then research preventing life coming back, developing again. And then eventually, once we've done as much of that as we can, we would make humanity go forcefully extinct as well with euthanasia.
All right. And at what point did you think of this? Like, at what point in your life were you like, this is something I believe in?
Well, the movement approached me last year and asked me to join. And I said, yeah, how can I help? End all suffering? I can't think of anything better.
All right. It's a pretty interesting take, not something I've heard before.
Well, it's a new idea to the world. People are still learning about this new idea, which is that nobody should have to suffer. Humans evolved to be very pro-suffering and to think it's to glorify suffering and oppression. So, we've kind of only now just started evolving out of that animalistic mentality and realizing that we should abolish all suffering.
All right. Those were the questions I had. I'll look into it more because it sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Read our website, join the Discord through the website, watch some of my videos, and ask us more questions if you got them. People are asking in the chat, what's going on? What's happening? Total extinction is coming for all life. We're going to make animals and humans go extinct forcefully, right? This isn't a joke. We're actually doing it. And you can think it's a joke or, that I'm a crazy person. But, what's actually crazy is the severity of the suffering in this world. Okay, so we can either do nothing and let them suffer so bad that they, beg for death, or we can protect them and with, total protection, total extinction, right? That's it. Total extinction, total protection. How else are you going to protect the victims? So our movement is run by people who care about every last victim, every last sufferer, every last life form. And if you care about all life, then you'll care about the sufferers the most because they urgently need help, right? So if you're going to help the sufferers, then the only way to do that is with total extinction as fast as possible. Otherwise, you're saying you just let them suffer, right? And there's no other way to end all suffering without total extinction. You would need magic. But whereas we can do extinction without magic, we have euthanasia. We've made several species of animals go extinct already. And with thousands of years to carry this out, we can absolutely do animal extinction on Earth. We may be able to do it a lot quicker than that. It will end their suffering, and then eventually we can end humanity's suffering with forceful extinction. It won't be optional. You won't be able to live out the rest of your life. It will just be as fast as possible, because being alive is the problem. Being alive in danger is the problem. You may think you're safe, you may think you're having a great time, but tomorrow you could get hit by a car, end up with paralysis and begging for death, wishing you'd never been born, right? So that does happen to the unlucky ones, and you're just hoping that you'll be one of the lucky ones, and you don't care about the unlucky ones who it does happen to. We care about every last victim, every last potential victim, and we say that no suffering is acceptable. And so without total extinction, you always have the unlucky ones and the lucky ones being just forced to exist. And you also have, without total extinction, a policy that, life can suffer, that it's acceptable. So as I was saying earlier, you either have a zero tolerance policy on suffering and have total extinction, or you think that suffering is totally fine and that, therefore we don't need to worry about it, right? So nobody should have to suffer, and if you agree with that, then total extinction is the only answer that's realistic, right? It's either extinction or create heaven with technology so that nobody ever suffers ever again. Whereas extinction's already possible. We can already do it. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, how's it going?
Good, thank you.
So I'm just wondering, when you said we're already doing it, when you were talking about euthanizing, what do you mean?
No, I think I meant that we've already made several species of animals go extinct, right?
Oh, I see what you mean. I wondered if your group were getting animals from shelters or something.
No.
Okay, so how do you expect I mean, I personally disagree with you. I am somebody who believes that suffering is just part of life, and I think that's fine. Obviously, not child.
But how do you? Why is child abuse bad then?
Well, I don't know. I think there's different levels of suffering.
If you're saying suffering's fine,
if you're debating people, you do have to listen to them.
Yeah, but if you're saying suffering's fine, then what's wrong with child
but you're not actually listening to me, and you keep cutting people off, and then you just kick them off your live, rather than debate them. And I don't think that shows very good debate skills.
It sounds like you don't have a counter argument.
No,
so you're
because
just getting angry.
you're not listening.
I'm listening now.
That's the point I'm making. Great.
Go.
So I think there's different levels of suffering, and I think there's ways of alleviating suffering. But I personally don't think that minor suffering is bad. And I personally wouldn't.
Child abuse is minor suffering, right?
Well, that's not what I said. You seem quite fixated on child abuse.
But
so
you
I'm
seem
just
quite
wondering,
fixated
how would you guys actually do this?
You don't seem very fixated on child abuse, which is the problem. You're allowing it.
Right. So how would you guys do this? If you feel like it would take thousands of years, how would you make that a sustainable project?
So we need to start with animal extinction while removing our reliance on them, and then research how to prevent life coming back for Earth and as much of the universe as we can, and then finally make humanity go extinct forcefully with euthanasia.
But how would you, what I mean is, practically, how would you make this a sustainable project over thousands of years? Because no one's going to be around to make sure that the ideas don't evolve or they don't change. I just don't see, like, whether you and I agree on this.
What do you mean nobody's going to be around?
Well, you're not going to be around in 100 years. Nobody in your movement right now is going to be around in 100 years. Right. And with all political ideology, and this is an ideology, with all ideologies, they all change. There's not one. Well, because I'm saying that I don't think that logically that you could possibly even make this happen.
Why?
Well, for the reason I just said, you can't ensure that people...
You're saying that it's impossible for our ideology to continue? That the idea of abolishing all suffering is going to change radically? That doesn't make any sense.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying your project... No, because you're not listening. Your project, how on earth could you ensure that over thousands of years, all the animals and all the people are going to get euthanized? You can't.
How do you know?
Well, because, as I said, ideologies do...
This is sounding like a really weak argument, Addy. I think we've had enough of your nonsense. And we're going to move on to someone else next. We've got Jason joining us now. Jason, bringing you up onto the stage. Let's hear what you've got. Hey, how you doing? Okay, Jason has left us. Let's move on. Callie Lynn coming up next. How you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. So, hi, I'm Callie. I don't want to show my face because I'm a little shy, but I appreciate you being willing to hear me out.
Sure.
So, I just have a couple questions for you. What do you do to help children that are being abused right now? Because I get that this is your plan that you want, but obviously this is like not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're speaking out against child abuse and raising awareness of how big a problem it is.
How do you do that though?
Videos,
Like what do you
live
do?
streaming, all sorts of media.
Okay, so you're not like boots on the ground. You're more like social media.
What do you mean by boots on the ground?
Like you're not like actually helping kids. You're just making like social media content to raise awareness.
About what?
Child abuse, the topic at hand that you continue to bring up.
I'm not in a movement called Abolish Child Abuse.
But you keep bringing that up as your sole argument for your whole movement.
Yeah, but that's just one type of suffering, right? That's just one type of many.
But it seems to be like your passion.
Right? If you can't understand that's just an example, then I'd say there's something wrong with you and your ability to comprehend things. Okay, moving on to the next person, hopefully smarter. We've got Aga coming up. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So, I used to identify as an anti-natalist, and I sympathize with your ideology of extinctionism. But in your earlier interactions with the viewers, I heard you say you are not vegan. I find it hypocritical that you are trying to not reduce but eliminate suffering, but in the same breath you are paying for the abuse and murder of animals.
We're doing it for the reason that it causes less suffering. So we should be rational and not just emotional, basically. We should do whatever's actually best and not whatever's just feels best.
I know, but you think abstaining from consuming animal products is worse for animals?
Yeah.
How so?
Because veganism just transfers the suffering to wild animals, right? So vegans don't care about wild animals. They don't care about the consequences that their actions are having on wild animals, which is why they're not carrying out suffering reduction in a responsible way. And in fact, they're causing more suffering, worse suffering. Every day, being vegan saves 30 square foot of rainforest. So you're actually causing massive amounts of suffering to wild animals who have worse conditions and worse suffering than farm animals do, right? Wild animals have no shelter, medicine, food, safety, euthanasia, nothing, right? They suffer horrifically compared to farmed animals.
So basically your argument is in the process of growing plants to feed humans, more animals die than just in the animal industry?
Yeah. The problem is that vegan agriculture is extremely efficient and it doesn't use much land. So that gives massive amounts of land to wild animals who suffer terribly as a result. So yeah, being inefficient with land is actually a good thing for animals.
It's an interesting argument. I have never heard of it before. But so when you tell vegans that you are also causing the suffering of animals because the plants that you pay for while they're being farmed, a lot of animals are killed. So the vegans will say, you pay for the animals. So English is not my first language. I'm having trouble to expressing myself. I haven't spoken about it. So basically, they say when you pay for animal products,
Yeah.
you are also paying for the plants that those animals eat. So that's more suffering. You understand me?
What? Because the plants are suffering?
No. So when you buy animal products, that is suffering for animals that you're paying for. That's also suffering for animals that are killed in the process of feeding those animals.
Yeah, but think about it, right? You know, in a vegan world, you're giving as much of the world back to nature, right?
Okay, but we can just start wildlife interventionism activism.
Like what?
We can, I
That's
don't
what
know.
we're already doing it.
So I'm not clear on your counter argument against veganism. So can you make a succinct point so that I can understand?
Well, veganism doesn't end all suffering, so it's not good enough, is it?
I'm not saying
veganism is about enjoying this evil society and trying to feel less guilty, right? Vegans still cause horrific suffering. Vegans still exploit animals every single day and cause terrible suffering to them. And they don't care, right? So, you know,
But
as a vegan...
some vegans don't, but
that's not true.
I'm a vegan, I care.
No.
As you can see, I'm an example of someone that cares.
Every single vegan, just by being alive, is causing horrific suffering to animals. And they think that their life and their privilege is worth it to cause all that suffering.
But I'm a vegan, but I don't think that way.
So you've never stepped on an insect when you left the house? You've never...
I think that's fucked up.
You've never been to a restaurant that
you have to, but you are not offering yourself. You are advocating for something good. You have a cause that you're fighting for. So am I. So do I.
What's that?
So I'm saying some vegans are extinctionists.
No.
How is that contradictory?
Because veganism is, again, it's about feeling less guilty while being guilty. It's not about ending all suffering. It's about just living your life selfishly and feeling less guilty. It's the same as antinatalism.
Okay, so veganism is an ideology about
veganism doesn't help. Look, veganism
I understand
does not.
Veganism.
Stop,
veganism is not
it doesn't
end
help
all
wild
be all,
animals.
but
It doesn't help humans.
Veganism. What I'm saying is, veganism is not end all be all for all reduction of suffering, but it is much better than carnism.
No, it's not.
How so? How is it not better than carnism?
We've got data, we've got explanations on our website. You can read all about it. Go on the full FAQ and go to question 33. We've got charts, information. It explains everything.
Okay, I'll check it out, but I think...
Look, answer me this. How is veganism ever going to stop wild animal suffering?
Veganism is just a specific kind of ideology that advocates for... Neither will trauma activism. Are you against trauma activism? Because trauma activists are not...
Okay, but what will end wild animal suffering is extinction. So we have to do that.
Okay, I agree with you. We have to end all kinds of suffering.
Yes.
But while doing that, we cannot be hypocritical by contributing to animal suffering that you are doing now.
You're contributing to worse animal suffering if you eat vegan.
So what's your argument for that?
I've just told you that we've got proof on our website. Look, one of the leaders in our movement.
I don't have ready access to that. So can you just summarize what that information is?
You don't have access to the internet?
Right now in our discussion interchange.
Go and look afterwards, okay? It's got charts, loads of information. You can go and read it. And I've already tried explaining it to you. Look, one of the leaders of our movement was a vegan
Okay.
activist, a diehard vegan activist, and he's completely against veganism now. He can help explain it to you. Are you German by any chance? Because the guy I'm talking
No,
about happens to be
no,
German.
I'm not German. I'm from Azerbaijan. Have you heard of this country, Azerbaijan?
Oh, Baku?
But I'm not from Baku, but Baku is the capital city of Azerbaijan.
Yeah. So look, yeah, go on our website, read about us, message us, join the Discord, and you can come and talk to our vegan, previously vegan activist who's now a leader for Extinction. He's in Nuremberg, Germany. He does street protests every weekend, and he was a die-hard vegan, like super vegan, okay? And now he realizes it's completely trash. Which is true, right? Veganism does nothing to help wild animals, who are the vast majority of the population, who suffer worse than farmed animals with worse conditions, like the worst conditions. So veganism does nothing to help the vast majority of animals who suffer the worst, right? It does nothing for humans. It does nothing to abolish all suffering. And yeah, it's it's about feeling less guilty while enjoying this evil world and still doing nothing, right? Just slightly changing your behavior, but still cracking on with it and enjoying the society, not fighting against it. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Hi. Well, I'm not an English speaker, but I'm trying my best here, okay?
Okay.
I agree with you, but people say we are childish. Humanity will never come to this idea. How can we convince them better? How can we come across mature and not childish? Because they think we are suicidal.
Yeah, that's not the problem. It's not that they think that we're childish. It's that they are genetically incapable of understanding it. So humanity evolved to be illogical and irrational so that they would have more children. And the smarter humans, they went extinct because they stopped having kids, basically. So the vast majority of the population will never agree because they evolved to not agree, right? They evolved to have kids. So yeah, we have a few exceptions that have mutated, genetic exceptions that understand that suffering is bad, that we have to abolish it. So we are currently gathering together the people from around the world who can understand why suffering is bad and getting them all together so that we can work together and eventually carry out total extinction. So yeah, start doing activism with us. Join the movement. Okay. Go on the website and go to the bottom of the website and you can join the Discord, you can join the WhatsApp group, and you can become an activist. Even if you do, one video a day, that's still going to help grow the movement. You can say, look, you can make a little text video on TikTok and it can say, help us end all suffering at proextinction.com. That would take 10 seconds and you can do that every day and it will get lots of views on TikTok. It actually will. And you can help grow the movement that way. So yeah, everyone can help. And that's what we should do, is grow the movement to make ending suffering possible.
Okay, have a good day.
You too. Thank you for coming on. And yeah, read the website. If you've got more questions, you can message me on TikTok or wherever else and talk to me. Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I've just been watching for a while. I just wanted to speak a little bit, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of more curious about, I guess, your ideas since you joined this group. So you believe that at some point you would want to unalive yourself with everyone else then, right? That's the idea?
Well, we need to do animal extinction first. So we need humanity to keep going for probably at least a few hundred years minimum.
So in your lifetime, you wouldn't see the fulfillment of this plan. Even if you had the opportunity to do it, you wouldn't take it.
What do you mean by the opportunity to do it?
Say your plan really does work, and in 5 years, really everyone gets on board and it's possible. So in 5 years, you would unalive yourself with everyone else, is what you're saying.
Well, no, because you're not listening. It's going to take a very long time to complete animal extinction. And if we go extinct first, then we can't do it, right? So humanity
what if a bunch of people join your group and they're all leaders and elites of the nations of the world, and they decide to shoot all of the nukes off and destroy the entire planet in one fell swoop tomorrow? would you be okay? Would you be the one who pushed the button? Would you be okay with that? And all the bombs drop on you first, and then destroy the rest of the planet subsequently afterward, and there's no more
because
life?
that wouldn't cause total extinction.
Why wouldn't it?
Do you know how many nuclear bombs the last asteroid had the power of?
So you're saying we, as a species right now, we don't have the technology to wipe ourselves out right now, is what you're saying. We don't have that power.
Yeah, we need to, it's like trying to cure cancer. You have to research it, develop it, and make it. So that's what we have to do for extinction. And yeah, it's not going to be that hard. Like euthanasia, gas, whatever. It's not difficult.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but I think I'm trying to understand, why do you say it's going to take more than a couple hundred years? When,
we don't.
what if, that's what I'm saying, in 5 years, say we get to where you need to be, right? We get all of the conditions possible, and then now we begin the process. So you're saying you would unalive yourself with everyone else. You would choose to do that.
Yeah.
And so what about the people who don't want to be unalived, like me? So and we're real life. This is 2026 on Earth right now. I'm a real person. You're a real person out there on Earth. You're saying you would come find me and unalive me. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's all I need to hear. Well, I hope we don't cross paths someday. And if we do, hopefully we're on different terms.
Yeah. I mean, look, like I say, most likely it's not going to happen for hundreds of years. But if it does, then yeah, I will be coming to find you, and it will be like Liam Neeson, where he says, I will find you, and I will kill you. But no, we're not actually joking. We really do believe that being alive is a bad thing, because you're in constant danger, and the unlucky ones will suffer terribly as a result. You could suffer terribly as a result. So yeah, it will provide you safety from suffering. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, man? I hope you're doing great.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so I just had a question, and I know this might seem like trolling at the beginning, but it's not, right? So I feel like there's evidence that aliens exist. Like today we have evidence. Have you heard of Andrew Gallimore?
No.
Okay, so he's a scientist studying this chemical known as DMT, right? So DMT is like, if you ask a scientist, what does it do? And the orthodox explanation is that it just causes hallucinations, like enters the brain, and it induces like a psychotic kind of state of hallucination.
Yeah, but I'm not really interested in drugs, to be honest.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, though, let me tell you a really interesting story super quick.
Sure.
So, Shroom is asking in the chat, James, did you try DMT? Now, it might be you that I'm about to tell the story about, because basically, there's somebody on Reddit who is posting about extinction and how we have to make all life extinct, and it seems pretty rational and fairly in line with our movement. And he says that he didn't watch our videos or anything. He took some DMT and then had like a trip and realized that total extinction and abolition of suffering was the right thing.
Okay, yeah, it's strange. Yeah, but just real quickly, like, so Andrew Gallimore, his argument, because the explanation is that it just causes hallucinations, but his argument is that the brain can only like imagine you have like a 5-year-old child that only speaks English, and then one day they wake up and they start speaking like a African ancient Click language. So how did the child should not know how to do this? So similarly, the brain should, if the brain evolved to construct this normal waking world, it should not be able to construct an extra dimensional alternate world filled with beings that are not human.
I'm going to stop the conversation there, because it's not a podcast about, it's not Joe Rogan podcast, right? Go on Joe Rogan's podcast to talk about aliens and DMT. This just simply isn't the place to do it. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. I have a question. How do you want to achieve it? It is not achievable.
Why not?
How do you want to get rid of the life underwater? There will always be life.
Well, how do you know?
Because there will always be life.
That's not a very good argument. That's not a very good argument.
So how do you want to achieve that?
Yeah, with science and technology and an organized effort.
Yeah, but science does not have the answer to all things. There are
Well, yeah,
still
we
a
have to
lot of
find the
things we don't
answers, right? We have
know.
to find them. You're
Yeah.
limiting your thinking to today's science and technology. That's very small-minded.
No, I'm just wondering how
Well,
do you
yeah.
want to achieve your goals when we don't know what's underwater? There will always be life. We don't know it exists.
Yeah, but you are limiting your thinking to today's science and technology, right? Think about 1,000,000 years from now, extinction would obviously be a piece of cake.
Yeah, but that's about 1,000,000 years. You say
So,
you want to
what's the problem
achieve
with
this.
that?
You want to achieve this in 100 years,
No,
right?
no, wrong. I want to achieve it as fast as is possible.
Okay, maybe you wouldn't be there anymore because it will take too long.
Well, yeah, but maybe someone else will be because, they've heard about the movement.
What?
What, you don't think it's possible that, that the dozens of activists we've got doing activism will, make the movement big enough to where, yeah, there will be extinctionists 100 years from now?
But why
Okay,
would
that's it.
you
You're
want
done. You're out
that?
of here. You're cooked. Okay, moving on. Who else we got? Let's see. Hello, how you doing?
Hi,
Hello.
yeah. So I just had one thing to say. So you're talking to that one guy before, and you said basically you're gonna force everyone to
Yeah.
be extinct, right?
Yeah, like Taken with Liam Neeson.
Yeah. So you don't care about consent, basically? Like you don't care that we don't want to die?
No, we don't care about consent. No.
Okay, well I just read your website, and in the FAQ it says that you guys are against violence. So wouldn't that be causing violence?
No. Allowing life to continue forever would cause more violence. So we have to choose the lesser of two evils.
So you're willing to cause some violence to end all violence?
Well, what's the alternative? To allow loads of violence? That would be bad, right?
Of course, violence is bad, but can you not reduce violence?
No.
No, just no.
Well, look, how are you going to reduce violence in nature?
What kind of violence in nature do you mean?
Well, over 99% of animals in nature get eaten alive as babies.
Yeah, but that's like the cycle of life. That's just
Yeah,
the
but
life.
you wouldn't want to experience that. So, they shouldn't have to
Of
either.
course, but that's just a natural part of life that animals have to eat each other.
But that's not a good thing, though. That's terrible, right? That's awful.
Is it inherently bad though? Like, do they
Well, yeah.
understand?
Would you want your child to be eaten alive?
Of course not, but
Okay,
there's
well
a
then
difference
why
between
should animals
and
have
humans,
to?
though.
Sorry? So
There's a
you're
difference.
speciesist.
I don't know what that means, but
It means you discriminate against animals, right? You would be happy to abuse them because they're a different species.
no, I love animals, but
But you're
I'm
happy
just
for them
saying
to suffer. You like them suffering. Why? That's
I
not
don't
loving
like
them.
animals to suffer. I don't want anyone to suffer.
But
I
animals
just
suffer
think that
terribly, so loving them would want them, be wanting them to not suffer instead of, oh, I love you, but I'm going to find excuses for why you should suffer the worst things possible. That's not love.
no, not at all, because in the wild they don't have a concept of good and bad. They don't have good and evil. They
Really?
don't understand
Really?
what suffering.
Really? So they see their favorite food and they don't think, oh, good. They
Well-
don't see their worst enemy predator and think, oh, bad. They just have no idea what they're doing.
That's just a natural instinct, but they're not like making a moral decision to
No?
kill each other.
Well, yeah, but if someone falls off a cliff and needs help, the cliff didn't make a moral decision to attack them, but they still need help, right?
Yeah, but that's completely different from what you're trying to say. You want to force people.
No, look, what we're saying is that no suffering is acceptable, whereas you're saying that, yeah, suffering is totally cool, right? Children being eaten alive, that's a good thing.
I didn't say that was a good thing at
You're
all.
saying
Like, that's a
okay,
bad
but
thing.
you are saying it's acceptable, right?
It's not acceptable, but I'm saying it's not acceptable to force people to die because you want total extinction.
So
Like,
you
where's
think
the
that
consent? Like,
so
I
you
don't
think-
consent to that.
But that's what animals do, right? They force each other to die, and if you think that that's a bad thing, then surely extinction would be the solution.
Yeah, but the difference between a wild animal and a human is that we can think and understand.
But what does that matter?
Because it matters. Because
Why?
it's like they don't have the ability to differentiate from right and wrong, whereas we do.
But you don't need the But like that's like saying that abusing disabled children is fine because they don't know the difference between right and wrong. It just doesn't make sense.
But we do. The abuser does.
No, you're literally saying that if you abuse a life form which doesn't know what good from bad, then it's okay.
It's not okay. It's because
then extinction's the answer.
In your example where you said like, what was it, the disabled child?
Yeah.
It would be morally wrong to abuse a disabled child, even if they didn't understand what you're doing, because you do understand what you're doing.
But it's okay to let that same child, fall over and crack their skull open and then just not call an ambulance because that's just life.
No, because you're still causing harm to them by negligence.
Right, which is what you're suggesting we do for animals.
So you think letting animals just live their lives in the wild is negligent?
You think they're having a great time out there, do you?
I mean, I don't know.
They're killing each other for
animals.
survival. Would you like to experience that?
I mean, no, but that's just
then
the cycle
stop
of
being
life,
a hypocrite.
isn't it?
Oh, no, if I walk... Okay, well, next time I see you being robbed or attacked or something, I'm just going to say, well, that's just life, and we'll see how you feel about it.
Well, that would make you a bad person.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't do that because you're a bad person and you would do it.
What? No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
You've just said it's fine to allow suffering. It's totally good to allow it. It's not as bad as causing it, right?
No, I'm saying we as humans have higher intelligence than
you're
animals, right?
Finished. You're done. Your animal discrimination days are over, right? This girl would walk up and punch a dog in the face and say, animals don't know good from bad. Hello, how you doing?
Good. I support your idea, but I have a question.
Sure.
So, don't you think in millions of years we could also, I don't know, invent a drug or something that, I don't know, like stops us from suffering? Like, what do you define as suffering?
Yeah, but even if that's true, right, it doesn't mean that people should have to suffer now.
Yeah, but, maybe instead of putting all the effort in going extinct, you could put it into making
Yeah, you can't put resources into pleasure and hope it will help the sufferers. It should be the other way around. You put the resources into helping the sufferers, and if the selfish people get any pleasure as a byproduct, then it doesn't matter, but it's okay.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll help you kill everybody in the future if it happens.
Yeah, we're not really looking for people that are bloodthirsty like that, so please don't join the movement. We want compassionate people, ethical people, moral people, empathetic people who want to help others because they feel, the pain of others and the need to help them, not just wanting to, I want to kill everyone. Yeah, you're not going to be useful. You're going to be a liability. Hello, how you doing?
Hold on. Hello, greetings from...
Greetings from somewhere in the universe, everyone. Where do we think it was? Russia, maybe? Or Armenia or something? Ukraine, perhaps? Hello, how you doing?
Hi. So I have two questions. If you're talking about euthanizing everybody, but why, you're saying that the technology isn't necessarily here, why would you not advocate for technology to be developed or a medicine to be developed to sterilize everybody? Like put it in the water?
Yeah, because the thing is that sterilization doesn't cause extinction. How's that going to affect every last animal, every last human? It's not a realistic thing. And sterilization also doesn't prevent that existing life from suffering either. It helps their children, but not the existing ones. So euthanasia is infinitely superior to sterilization.
Well, I reckon you could kill all the animals and then you could sterilize people, because then that would be reduced suffering. Because if you're going to round people up and then kill them,
that would be terrifying against their consent. So that would be terrifying. Whereas you could sterilize people without them even knowing, and then that would reduce that level of suffering. Because dying against your consent is
But that wouldn't
a massive
help.
trauma.
That wouldn't help the human sufferers, though.
Well, it would allow people to live out their lives, and then it'd be done.
To suffer. That's the problem. You know, if we're going to do that, then what's the point of doing sterilization in the first place?
Well, because then you could then say that children weren't being born against their consent, whereas people who are alive could decide whether they wanted to continue or not.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works. Unless you do mass extinction without option, then you're still going to have unlucky ones suffer as a result, right? If you allow life to exist in this dangerous world, some are going to suffer terribly as a result. So they're better off, they're safer within non-existence.
But some people don't mind. Some people are happy to suffer with the balance of love and laughter.
But that's an irrational decision. So
but why do you consider it your right to decide whether they should suffer or not?
Rights are for people that don't understand how the world actually works, right? You wouldn't say to a police officer, what gives you the right to enforce the law, right?
But why do you think you're above people to be able to make that decision for them?
Because our movement is more rational than other people. People can't make rational decisions for themselves or for others, which is why they're having kids, which is why they're forcing them to suffer. And the rational decision is that safety is more important than being alive.
Well, personally, I think that's the beauty of life. But a second question, how do you feel about when you're talking about, you listed something earlier about different ways of euthanizing people.
Glorying the suffering of others it might make life beautiful for you, but it's not beautiful for them.
Well, then that's...
And actually, I would say that's sadistic even. You're literally saying that the suffering of others gives your life beauty and meaning.
It seems to now be developing in certain countries that people can go and be euthanized even for their mental health problems. So then you're allowing people to have that consent as to whether they feel like the balance of suffering, love, joy is worth living or not. So the second question, how do you feel about people who, states or heads of state who commit genocide? Because surely you're advocating for the genocide of the whole human race, and you're talking about...
No, genocide is a different thing. We're advocating for extinction.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing
it's not.
In a certain way.
Not. If I said they were doing genocide, you wouldn't think, they were going for total extinction. So, no, you're straw manning.
I mean, the Palestinians, they are going to
Thank you so much for your straw mans. We've really enjoyed them. They've been so helpful. Okay, let's move on. All right, moving on to Hans. Let's get Hans back up. Hello.
Well, hello again, James Doyle. Well, hello again. See you from the before live stream as of. So, I have indeed researched about the organization, as you told me exactly to research and see. And I have heard about it. I mean, many people have told me exactly, and I see what this organization's plan is exactly on. As many people have also informed me about it. Well, certainly because of the suspicion of what you were saying of the previous person of what you can forcefully do about that, sadly I can and I did previously already report it to the Interpol about your organization, German intelligence agency and the British intelligence agency about
all
all
right,
of the...
Hans, shut the hell up already and just go back to your video games. All right, moving on. Sire Gig coming up next. Hello, how you doing? Oh, they must have joined by accident. Okay, who else we got? Let's see. See if we've got any trolls in the queue. Okay, we've got, someone else coming up. Yep, please do. Report us to Interpol. We love the attention. Why not? Hello, how you doing? Okay, another person that joined by accident. Who else we got? Okay, we have a radical anti-natalist coming on now who we've traded blows with. So this could be spicy. Let's see. They've ghosted the queue again. For crying out loud. Will someone not join the stream? Daddy Masuka. Masuka! Oh, what a great name. Yes, Masuka, let's bring them on. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. I agree with you. Sorry, my English is very bad. I'm Danish. I'm agreeing with you about if a person wants to die, they should have access to be helping with the process of dying. But
Yeah.
the problem for me is the without the consent, killing people without consent. I mean that is
Yeah.
where I
But you see, people aren't consenting to the danger that they're in, and they actually can't consent to it in the same way that animals can't consent properly. So essentially, humans and animals are strapped into torture devices designed by nature, which also make them very confused about life and unable to make responsible decisions for themselves and others. So the responsible decision, the rational decision, is non-existence instead of extreme, unacceptable, unlimited amounts of danger. For very small benefit, right? Would you want to be in literally unlimited danger just to have a little bit of fun? No. And the unlucky ones end up suffering terribly, and the lucky ones say, "Ha ha, it wasn't me, so it's fine. Keep the suffering going."
I'm starting to think about, what about just half the 50% of the population instead of 100?
No, we should help everyone.
Yeah, but just imagine 50% of the population gone.
There's still a lot of suffering.
Yeah, but
and they'll just come back. It will just grow back in a few years, so that does nothing. Masuka, I think you should stick to blood spatter analysis. This is definitely not your area of expertise. Okay, moving on to our next. Yeah, Zeko, let's get you up. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Okay, I'm good. I have got a question for you. Like, you're a pro to extinctionist, right?
Yeah.
So why not start with you?
Because that wouldn't cause extinction.
Yeah, but if the leader doesn't lead, what's the use?
Sorry?
If let's say,
but if there is no leader, then it's not very good, is it?
Yeah, so why don't you just create some
You might as well be going up to the enemy army and saying to the general, if you want to win this war, just unalive yourself and you'll win the war. He's going to look at you and say, I'd have to have less than 1 IQ point to take that advice.
Like, I don't know, what I mean is that...
And you'd have to have less than 1 IQ point to give that advice. Oh, no, what I mean is... Oh, I'm sure he had such a genius point coming next. Okay, moving on. Hello. How's it going? Well, I guess it came and went. Okay, moving on. Who else we got? Moonstone Ramble. Hello.
So if you don't need people's consent or animals' consent, why haven't you started already?
We have started. We're doing activism. We're growing the movement so that we can carry out total extinction.
No, why haven't you started euthanizing if it's going to take so long?
Because we have to do that as a government, right? We can't do that as just a handful of individuals. It would take forever.
So you want to get into government and then have the ability to...
Yeah, so total extinction and the plan for our movement, it only works if we run the world, right? There's no other way to carry out total and thorough permanent extinction.
So you want to run the world and then euthanize everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so another question. Are you going to kill all the plants as well, or is that...
Yeah. Well,
Do
you have
you?
to, right? They might evolve into sentient life or something.
Yeah, I suppose so. So, do you feel like you don't have enough balance in life? Do you know that, like?
Well, no. The problem is that we live in a dangerous world where the balance is tipped against the sufferers.
It's very godlike thinking.
Yeah, exactly, and it should be, right? We should aspire to the greatest heights of ethics and morality, and that means a zero tolerance policy on suffering.
Okay, I mean, obviously, I think you're insane, but thanks for your time.
Do you have a counter argument?
No, I just wanted to ask you questions.
Then
I
I would
find
say
it very
that
funny.
you might actually be the insane one yourself. Now, yeah, that sounds like a joke, but I'm actually being serious. So this is a very, very common psychological phenomenon when trying to talk about extinctionism. People get like brain fog, they get confused, they can't think properly, they start saying silly, irrational things. And basically we've evolved to be as pro-life as possible so that we'll have kids, whereas extinctionism is the absolute far opposite end of that. So whereas, you know, we're the opposite of what nature intended, basically. So yeah, this is the rational position, whereas humans evolved to be irrational so that they would just have kids and not care what happens to them. You know, Becky down the street having 10 kids, that's evolution at its peak right there. It is. It actually is. So that's what determines what you know, what the majority of the population will look like. It's Becky, right? So we live in a world full of Beckys, and yeah, they're just going to keep popping out 10, 20 kids at a time. And yeah, the opposite of that is nobody should have to suffer, and we should make that the world, right? We should literally make a suffering-free world. So yeah, people really struggle to understand it because they've evolved to be unintelligent, basically. And so when they're arguing against extinction, they'll usually say something like, you know, I really have no counter argument. I have no idea why I disagree with it. I can't provide any logic or counter argument, but I just disagree. And that's the insane thing, right? That's the definition of insanity, is to say, yeah, I believe something and I have no idea why and I can't defend the position. So it genuinely is insanity to be against extinction. Okay, moving on. Next, we've got Ninado coming up. Ninado? Hello.
Yeah, so I got a question.
Sure.
Can you please say what you do for a living?
I'm unemployed.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to ask, you got like a plan or something?
Yeah. So we have to grow the movement until we have enough people to change the world, make it against suffering, and start carrying out total extinction.
So what's this number?
Number?
Yup.
What do you mean?
How many?
How many what? How many people?
Yup.
Yeah, there is no exact number. We just do our best, do as much as we can, and try our hardest.
Oh, okay. So it's like an idea or just like a real plan?
It's a real plan, a real movement. You know, I didn't start it. It started 3 years ago. I joined 1 year ago, and it's been growing rapidly all around the world. Got people in almost every country now doing activism and growing the movement so that we can carry out revolution and then, yeah, carry out human extinction and animal extinction and just work towards a world with no life, no possibility of life ever again.
Then may I ask who started this all?
A bloke from India.
Okay, India, okay. I kind of said. Yeah, okay, so thank you. That's all.
Great. Well, thank you for your questions. You know, click on my profile on TikTok, read the website. There's a button on my profile. Read the manifesto, the frequently asked questions. Join the Discord and ask us more questions. Join the WhatsApp and become an activist. You know, we had just another person join yesterday and become a full proper activist. They've started their TikTok channel. They've started posting videos on TikTok for the movement. And that's it. That's what people are doing. That's the best form of activism right now. And lots of people are doing it. Hello.
Hi, I think we talked yesterday and you kicked me out because you said I want kids to be tortured and raped.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember.
So
very
I have
well.
a question. Do you suffer? Do you yourself suffer?
Why do you ask?
Because it seems like you're talking like you are the voice for people who suffer, but when you don't suffer yourself, why do you think?
How do you know I don't suffer?
I just ask you.
But you sounded like you were assuming that I don't know.
Okay, maybe you do, but I
How's it
suffer a
relevant?
lot. I told you I suffer a lot. And I still see some kind of sense in life. I'm suicidal. I tell you, I'm suicidal because of my horrific neuropathic pain. And but there's always the choice of suicide, you know?
No, there's not.
Why not?
The vast majority of life suffering can't commit suicide. You've got animals, babies, children, disabled people, and depressed people who can't bring themselves, to actually do it as well.
Okay, but there's always an exit, like an emergency exit.
No.
But I was severely
No.
depressed, and I am severely.
There's not always an emergency exit now.
But that's suicide. Of course, a baby can't kill
A
itself.
paralyzed person can't do it. A baby can't. A
But
child can't.
you're obviously
an
in the
animal
UK.
can't.
I live in Austria. In Austria, there is
This is
assisted
why you were
suicide.
kicked. This is why you were kicked, because you think that babies should be killing themselves, right? That babies should have to be tortured horrifically to the point where they have to kill themselves to escape. You think that's a good thing and should continue, right? Oh, suffering's terrible, but I have the solution. Those babies being abused in dungeons, just give them a noose, right? Give them a knife or something, and as they're being abused badly, right, they can just slit their wrists. Problem solved, right? That's the perfect system, right? Every baby being abused, just do that, right? That's her solution. That's genuinely her solution. That's exactly what she said. That is what she said, right? That anyone suffering can just opt out. There's always an emergency exit, right? For who? For babies and children? So, right, just... what are you talking about? What if the abuser doesn't give them a knife or doesn't give them a noose, right? What if they're handcuffed or something? Now what? They've got to bite their tongue and swallow it? So that's the worst sort of cruelty, the ultimate harm possible, is to force life to exist in situations so bad that it's begging for death and it's willing to literally take its own life, which is not a walk in the park, right? It's like one of the worst things, scariest, most horrible experiences ever. And she thinks that, yeah, it's fine if babies get abused, right? They can just kill themselves, right? It's like literally the most absurd thing ever, and that is why I kicked her, and I'm happy to kick her again, because she's literally says that child abuse is good and that children should kill themselves if they don't like it. Like, what the fuck? Hello, how you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, so you think it's okay to extinct everyone when there's plenty of people that aren't suffering?
Yeah, but they might suffer, so they're in danger of suffering, and extinction gives them safety from that.
Okay, but there's plenty of people in this current moment right now that are doing just fine. They're happy, everything like that. But you think it's justifiable to...
So you think
carry out
some
an
suffering is
extinction?
acceptable?
No, I don't. But do you think it's justifiable to extinct everyone when there's plenty of people that don't want to do that?
Well, what's the alternative?
What
If
do you
you
mean?
said suffering's not acceptable, right? So are you accepting it or not?
I think it's unacceptable, but I think it's
But you would choose the path which leads it to continue forever instead of stopping it. That doesn't sound like you really think it's unacceptable.
I think it's unavoidable sometimes.
Oh, right, unavoidable. That's a different word than unacceptable. Completely different meaning.
And did you know that plenty of people went through the
All right, thank you
Holocaust?
so much. It's been an amazing conversation. I've learned so much from all of your wisdom and knowledge. It's just been really enriching for me. Yeah, I'll have to send you a tip. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. So I had a question about like a cyclical universe or eternal. So if the universe is I'm not sure if it's like past infinite, but the future is potentially infinite. There could be an infinite amount of
Yeah.
future moments. So
Yeah.
if and if the chances of life is above 0%, so it's like 0.001.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna come back in a cycle, right? Like a loop.
Well, we should try and stop that.
Yeah. So I get trying, but is there like a solution for the loop?
Well, like I say, we don't know, right? We have to look into it. That's what our movement is planning on doing.
Yeah. And the universe is also expanding, so the chances of, because it's getting bigger and bigger, the chances of more planets and more life is also getting bigger and bigger. And there could be, and do you think there's like more than one universe? There could be like 70 universes. I mean, it's
I don't know about that, but it's simple. We should just do as much as we can until there's absolutely nothing left that we can do. So we support causing the most vast and thorough extinction possible. And when you consider what may be possible, right? That means like next level thorough, next level vast, right? Beyond what we can even conceive of now. And yeah, unless we do that, then we're allowing life to suffer. So we just have to do as much as we can. Maybe we can only do our galaxy. Maybe we can do the whole universe. Maybe we can do prevention of the universe ever coming back. We won't know until we try. We can start with Earth and then just start the research, start the development. And look, if we pass the job to AI and robots, we can go extinct quickly and they can keep doing the science and the research to try and help the rest of the universe.
okay. And yeah, so do you think the universe like can be destroyed, or is that like impossible?
We don't know, right? We just
yeah,
don't know, but we have to research it and find out.
Correct. Yeah, I mean the observable universe is like really, really big. It's like we're like a speck of dust, like the entire planet, Earth. It's like not even like a grain of sand in like an ocean.
Yeah.
And it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger and bigger, expanding every single second. So, yeah, life is a crazy thing that
Yeah, we just have to do as much as we can. If that takes us to Earth and that's it, then so be it. But we will be exhausting the limits of science and technology to try and go beyond Earth.
Okay, and another question, like, what do you think suffering is? Do you think it's just a collection of atoms and electricity? Why is there like an observer having like a mental experience which is perceived as negative? Like, have you heard of the hard problem of consciousness? How consciousness is like hard to explain it.
Yeah,
What is the
I think it evolved that way, right? I think that basically suffering is evolutionary beneficial, right? It helps life survive to suffer because you feel hungry, you feel I just hurt my toe or something. It helps you, right? If you can't feel any pain, then you can't survive, you don't function. So I think that we evolved to have consciousness because it was better for reproduction, better for survival. Is it just atoms or is there more to it than that? It's a really good question, and it's also something that our movement plans on finding the answers to. Look, it's difficult. It is difficult to know all the answers right now, but going forward, we need to find them out because it's our moral obligation for understanding how to prevent more suffering and more life and consciousness. Like if a star can become conscious, for example, then we'd need to make the stars go extinct if they're suffering.
Yeah, it's consciousness is like very, very misunderstood and like strange because like right now there's like an observer seeing colors, like there's a phone in front of you, there's like textures and shapes, but the observer is you, which means it has a personal identity. So a question is like, how does a collection of impersonal facts give rise to a personal identity? Like atom is impersonal, electricity is impersonal. How does that collection of impersonal facts give rise to a personal identity? So I mean, some
it
people
seems
believe,
contradictory.
like,
It seems impossible, right? It's a real head scratcher. But we have the moral obligation to find out the answers to those questions. I don't have all the answers right now, though.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, it's a great point. Just to go over again. That all of these scientific questions, like how did the universe start? Is it cyclical or is it infinite? How does consciousness exist? all of the biggest questions in science and, you know, philosophy and stuff, we have actually a moral obligation to answer them so that we can do a better job at preventing suffering and, you know, again, understanding different types of life, different types of consciousness, you know, how unavoidable is suffering for life to exist. All of this stuff is going to be really important to find out. It's not just, you know, random curiosities. It will actually be necessary to know for the pursuit of suffering prevention. Hello, how you doing?
Hi. Hi,
right?
do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So I wanted to ask some questions about these movements. I'm from Italy, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I knew about you and I even talked about you in my class. I wanted to spread the information a bit. And I wanted to know if this movement is something that's just started, or does it have a beginning to it, like a past, a history?
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that everyone thinks about it once in their life, to end everything, you know, and all life and existence. But I wanted to know if there is a real history to it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Can I just ask your age as well? Are you over 18?
Yeah,
You're 18.
yeah.
What year were you born in?
2008. February.
Okay, they're good at maths. Right, okay, so yes, the movement started about 3 years ago, and it was started by a man in India. And actually, we have lots and lots of activists in India. It seems to be the best country right now for getting new activists. And so this guy, his name is Steve Aditya, and basically he was a vegan and an animal activist. So what he was doing was he was going into like the forests with other activists, or liberating animals from cages and farms and stuff like that. And they would take the animals and then try and recover them back to health and make them better. But he realized that while he was saving all of these animals, that they were getting hurt and they were getting into the worst suffering possible. And he realized that it was just going to keep happening. So he was thinking like,
yeah, it's their nature. It's their nature to suffer.
He was thinking, how do we stop this, right? I don't want to just have to save them forever. Yeah, so you'd just be saving them every day for the rest of time. And, he wanted to prevent the suffering instead of treating the suffering. So he realized that was it. Extinction was the answer. And he realized that we had to take action and actually do it and create a movement to make it possible. And during the course of this and all of his thinking, and, he did a lot of thinking by himself on this. And, we've essentially the conclusion of that thinking sort of takes you towards trying to be as ethical as possible, trying to be as moral as possible, and, creating all of the best ethics possible for the world. And that's what we are doing. And that starts with a zero tolerance policy on suffering.
Yeah, and I think that's the opposite of how egoistical our society is right now. Everyone just focuses on his own suffering or benefit, and I think we never see even the animal suffering or our own suffering. That's why mental health is getting worse. It's never considered really seriously, and it's always just something. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something, misunderstood, and that's why mental health is always getting worse by generations. But I have a question. Do you think this movement can be like a political way, can extend in a political way? So
Yeah, that's the plan. We have to take over the world. We have to run the world. We have to be the government. There's no other way to carry out total extinction. So that is our plan. And for the world, we would work towards the best world possible. No war, just best conditions for everyone. And yeah, you do have to have a selfless sort of outlook on it, right? To want the best thing for everyone else, you have to be willing to sacrifice your own happiness for that, and that's where most people are failing. They can't get past their own selfishness, basically. So, as extinctionists, we're people that are fully selfless, right? We've given up our entire lives to help the world be better. Whereas most people, they won't do any activism, they won't lift a single finger, they won't speak out, they'll do nothing, absolutely nothing. And that's it. So it's kind of all or nothing, basically. And we're the all.
Yeah, I understand. But I think there will be a time. There will be a time taking job. There are going to be years. I don't know. What do you think? A century, some years. It has to take some time. It's not easy, and I think the hardest part, it's not the materialistic part or destroying part, because now we have nuclear bombs, we have everything, but I think it's the mentality. And I'm sure what you have in mind, it's not a colossal bomb that will destroy everything.
No, it'll be bit by bit, structured, organized. And yeah, we actually did a podcast, me and Steve, the creator of the movement. We did a podcast yesterday. You can go and watch it. We did episode 26 on animal euthanasia. And yeah, we were saying that it won't be a bomb, it won't be a virus. It's going to be like, we're probably going to use artificial intelligence to help us with the puzzle. Okay. And now it is like a puzzle, because you have to remove your dependency on certain animals, certain species that are like doing pollination and other things like that. So we can euthanize some of the animals, but some of them we need. But we can replace our need on them. We can create new technology, right? And we can work towards a plant-based world where, we don't need animals for food. We don't need them for anything else. But to carry that out, it's going to be like a puzzle, right? We'll do a little bit here, a little bit there.
Gradually.
Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's great to hear another person, another young person getting interested in this. One of the main leaders in the movement is 16 years old. They're a German vegan activist. Well, they were a diehard vegan activist before they learned that veganism actually causes more suffering, and now they're a diehard extinctionist leader for the movement. They're one of the high command, basically. And so, lots of young people are starting to realize that suffering is bad, that we need to do better for the world. I think, as new generations come into this world, they do better, right? I think that humanity has been getting better and better throughout time. You can say that, it's getting worse as well, but I would say that the good people are getting better. And so, our technology and science is improving with time, but our morality and our ethics are also improving with time. That's why we've now gotten to extinctionism. And you could say that it's a journey of acceptance of suffering versus denial of suffering, right? Safety from suffering. So, nature starts you out here with absolute acceptance of suffering, have kids, kill animals, whatever. And, now we're kind of evolving, becoming better as people and realizing that no suffering is acceptable. But, it does go like that because, you have vegans saying, oh, let's have less farmed animal suffering, but keep the rest of the suffering, right? You have antinatalists saying, let's have less human suffering, but keep the animal suffering, right? And now finally you have extinctionists saying, no suffering is acceptable. And not only do we need to remove all of the suffering, we need to make sure it never comes back. So thorough, permanent extinction, sterilization of the universe, basically. Yeah, I mean, that's it, really. So let's see who else we got. Kanye Bear coming on now. Would you encourage someone to commit if their life was bad enough? The thing is, I'm not really allowed, no one's allowed to say that, right? I've just made a video today though, or was it yesterday? I made a few videos saying that if your life is terrible, if you want to die, then try doing activism, right? You understand that, you know, your life is too bad to live. Well, that's the same for loads of animals and other people out there. Help them, right? And your suffering is a lot worse when you're suffering for no reason, okay? I've been there myself. I know what it's like. You're lying in bed or whatever, and you're just suffering, and it's pointless, right? But if you're helping others, if you're doing the right thing, working towards a suffering-free world, then at least you know that, you know, it's not completely for nothing, right? It does help. It does make you feel better. It does. Look, if you are going to keep living and suffering, which most sufferers do, because, you know, the idea that you can just opt out is a joke, right? That's not a real thing. We all know that. The sufferers know that you can't just unalive yourself whenever you feel like it. So that's obviously not true. So yeah, if you are going to keep suffering for decades, years and more years, at least do something about it, right? You know, don't just suffer, help others to not suffer if you can. For those that it's just way beyond, you know, tolerable, and, you know, the life is just ridiculously bad, then it's more understandable for sure. But we would certainly encourage people to do everything they can to stay alive and to help others. And that is actually part of our ethos and our principles at the movement, that, yeah, it is selfish in the same way that it's selfish to unalive yourself if you're not suffering, just to escape danger. It's kind of selfish to unalive yourself if you can tolerate it a bit more, right, and help others. If you can't tolerate it, then fine. But the thing is, yeah, if you're suffering a bit and you can maybe help others, well, we may not be suffering as bad as you, but we're also in risk of suffering. So it's literally advantageous for us not to exist as well. And yet we're choosing to continue to exist so that we can help others. Like, if you're suffering terribly, I could get hit by a car tomorrow and be suffering worse than you for the rest of my life, right? So we're all in that danger, and we have to help make sure that nobody's in this danger, and only doing activism is going to help make that possible. So get involved today, proextinction.com. Join the movement, do activism so that no one else has to suffer. Okay, bringing someone else on now. Let's get the next guest up. Okay, it was a ghost in the queue. Another ghost in the queue. Let's see who else. Bogdan. Bogdan from Romania is joining us now. Bună, Bogdan, ce faci?
Noroc, uite. So look, you are pro total extinction, if I'm understanding right.
Yes.
You're. So why are you that? Like, explain to me the cause and how do you believe that this is the way?
Yeah, it's the only way to end all suffering, and that's the only thing worth fighting for in this world. So yeah, total extinction has to happen, otherwise people will keep suffering.
So you say that if nobody leaves, then nobody's gonna suffer.
Yeah.
So you would want that to happen to your family too, or only to other people?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, everyone, my family, my friends, they're all in danger. I'm in danger. We could all be trapped in a life of pure hell tomorrow, right? And some of us are right now. So yeah, being alive is the problem, and we celebrate the safety that all life will enjoy within non-existence. And so yeah, being alive is bad, being safe is good.
Okay, that's a point of view. I believe everybody has the right to opinions, and diversity makes us stronger, but I believe that we should all coexist, even though some people agree with your opinion, some agree with mine. And that's why I believe the world, to make it a better place, as you stated, we should do more activism. But total extinction just sounds
But it's the only ethical thing. It's the only ethical thing, because how else you can't be ethical unless you say let's end all suffering. You can't be ethical and say some suffering is acceptable.
Look, like, I know you had grandparents. I know that, right?
Yeah.
Did you see your grandma die? I've seen my grandma died.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And that sucks, and I don't want that to happen to nobody.
Right, and so extinction is the only way to prevent that from happening forever.
So you would rather die earlier than die when you're old?
Oh my god, yeah.
What? Why?
Do you know how horrible it is?
I know, I've seen it.
Nobody
But
should
you
have
can
to
live a
experience
full
that.
life and do all of the cool stuff when you're still young.
Yeah, but you might not though, right? That's optimism bias. You could get hit by a car tomorrow.
Then,
so your blind optimism is going to cause
then
yourself
that
a lot of
makes
suffering, Bogdan, and a lot of other people suffering as well. It's like saying, oh, well, it'll be fine, right? Well, no, it won't be fine just because that means you don't have to think. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I'm okay, thanks, and yourself?
Good, thank you.
Please excuse me, I have a cold, so my voice just sounds a bit off.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I've been watching your videos. I'm from South Africa, by the way. I just want to know, when you say total extinction, extinction has to be caused by something, right? Like, for example, dinosaurs and the asteroid and all of that. So I want to know, what is your plan to achieve this total extinction? Like, are you going to maybe inject people with some sort of chemical or spread something in the water? Like, what's
No,
the plan?
it'll be euthanasia. It might be like the form of a gas or something like that.
Okay. Gas.
Maybe. I'm not saying definitely, but I'm just suggesting it as a possibility. You know, we need to do the research to find the best method.
Okay. So, how are you planning to get governments all over the world to agree with you?
Yeah, by growing the movement until we have enough people. And yeah, we might have to take power by revolution or a coup d'etat. Or, you know, if we get really lucky, then we can do it democratically. But at the minute, it seems quite possible that a revolution may be necessary.
Okay, but wouldn't that cause even more suffering?
No,
I mean,
no.
How so?
Because if the alternative is billions of years of suffering, then it's obvious.
Okay. No, because like it could lead to wars and
Yeah.
you know, et cetera,
Yeah, well,
et cetera.
they did that to end slavery, and I don't think you'd criticize that, would you?
You have a point there. Okay. All right. No, that's all I wanted to know. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I think it's very brave, you know. As someone who is a spiritualist myself, I also, you know, go through these sort of things
I'm not
philosophically.
I'm an atheist, actually.
Oh no, I get that. But whether you call it atheism, spirituality, quantum physics, I just feel like it's the same thing, different names, different forms.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah. Karishma, thank you for coming on. It's been a good conversation. We're going to move on to Kamikaze now, who's been waiting desperately. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm glad my voice is clear. Not to scare you off, but first things first, I want to say that I have killed a person before, and you know, I'm not saying that to scare you off, but I'm just trying to make a point. So when you kill a person, like you can just euthanize them and move on with your day. So I think your methods are in the wrong here. You can just euthanize and go on euthanize the next.
I see what you
and
mean.
go on again
I
and
see
again.
what you mean. But the thing is that we have a different perspective, right? We see euthanasia as the ultimate good, right? You see it as a bad thing. We see it as a good thing. We see resting in peace as being more important and better than living in danger.
Yes, I know that. I'm not like going against killing people or like doing it without any pain. I'm saying that this will be really slow for a mass extinction. You can't just kill people by euthanizing them. You can cause mass extinction by euthanizing people. You're just like animals, like you said animals, right? Animals first and humans next.
Yeah.
So if you were to euthanize animals, they would just outbreed us in the wild. We wouldn't be fast enough to kill them all. They would just.
Well, you say that, but you're limiting yourself to today's science and technology, right? There's no reason to think that it won't get a lot easier in the future.
But that's not an efficient method, though. Like, you know,
What?
if we're gonna if we're gonna cause total extinction, we can't do it sufferinglessly. Like, how do I say that? Like, you suggest euthanasia because it doesn't cause any pain, right?
No, we suggest euthanasia just as it doesn't matter if it causes pain. So euthanasia with pain or without pain.
Oh, okay. Then wouldn't using nukes be a better option?
No. The last asteroid had the power of 1 billion nuclear bombs and still didn't cause extinction.
Yes, but it almost near caused extinction.
That's not good enough. That's not good enough.
But do you know in how many years we made nukes in World War II? It took us 3 years to make the nukes that we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah.
And we could, like, if we use our forces now with all the technology and research we have, we could make way bigger nukes. Just like Tsar Bomba, we could make way bigger nukes than Tsar Bomba and cause mass extinction and end all life on Earth once and for all, forever, with just the nukes that we made alone.
No, that wouldn't do the job.
And euthanasia would?
Yes.
But one is obviously, like one is a weapon of mass extinction, and the other is just a ballistic weapon.
We've done a podcast going over this in excruciating detail. It answers all of these questions. So look, me and Steve, the person that made this movement, we did a podcast episode yesterday about animal euthanasia. You should go and watch it. It goes into massive detail on all of this, including nukes and everything. If you search on any platform, Apple, Spotify, any YouTube, Pro-Extinction Podcast.
Did I find it on your website?
Actually, no, the podcast isn't on the website, but if you just search on YouTube, Pro-Extinction Podcast, or search it on Google, you'll find it immediately. And it's episode 26, the latest, newest episode, goes all into that.
All right, thank you for your time. And one last question. If you were to form a political, party, a movement, which country would it start from? Like, where can I join? Because I really want to join, and I really want to cause total extinction of all life. I really agree with everything you say. So where can I start?
What country are you in?
I am in Turkey. I joined from Istanbul, Turkey.
Right, okay. Well, look, what we're doing right now is we're growing the movement around the world, and certain countries have leaders in them. So India has leadership, Germany has leadership, UK has leadership, serious activists. So you could be the first one for Turkey potentially. I don't think we have anyone in Turkey right now, but yeah, we have people all over Europe and Asia, North America, South America. So yeah, join the Discord and you'll be able to see everyone from around the world.
Great news, actually. I've been planning to start a political party, and I could really use this ideology on my own. I could really, emphasize this ideology. I could start off a whole political party based off that. Thank you so much for suggesting me this. I think
I would suggest that you join the movement properly and you talk to us about it, and we can help you do that. And we will help you do that. 100%, we would definitely help you. We will help any activist to do activism, as long as you're properly on board with our movement in terms of the principles and the ethics and stuff. If you're one of us, we'll support you every step of the way. Okay, let's see who else we got. Okay, Mike coming on now. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm from South Africa and I'm very interested in what you're going for. I just wanted to say that the people who are going against this, who are arguing against this, I feel like they are talking from privilege, because if you would think about poverty or think about what world wars or just wars in general have affected people, and or even sickness, illnesses, like cancer, or even like these illnesses that affect your physical health. I just feel like these people are talking from from privilege, and do not understand what suffering is. Yeah. I just feel like, they don't know what they're talking about.
It's ignorance, it's selfishness, it's willful ignorance, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That I don't know, how do I also
I can do it for you.
contribute to the
so it's ignorance, but look, I was telling someone earlier today in the Discord, we have to stop blaming people and saying, oh, what a terrible person he is, and I'm angry at him. And we have to start understanding all of behavior, human behavior, animal behavior, as genetics based, right? So instead of saying, oh, I hate him, just say, oh, I understand that he's genetically inferior. He can't help it, right? He can't help being ignorant. He can't help thinking that suffering is acceptable. And that's true, right? So someone, a philosophy guy, was trying to convince me that no, every human has the exact same brain. Every human has the same capability of understanding things and the same intelligence. I'm sorry, but it's just simply not true. The idea that every single human has the same brain is a myth that we tell ourselves to make life just seem simpler. But actually, everyone has different brains, and their behavior is a direct result of their brain genetics. So, you grew up thinking, oh, I'm this type of person. That's just your brain genetics controlling all of that. All right, we've got a few people in the queue, so I'm going to start at the bottom of the queue, work our way up so that we don't miss anyone out. It's not only genetics, James, there's a whole psychology to read into it. I agree, and I'm reading into that psychology. However, I can tell you that it is mostly about genetics. Think of it this way. If you have a powerful computer, you can run powerful software on it, right? If you have, a rubbish computer, you're going to run rubbish software on it. That is genuinely the same way it works with humans. You can have bigger brains, you can have better brains, and extinctionists do. Okay, let's get back to the queue, get some people up. Ranga83 joining us now. Hello.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, why do you have to eliminate all animal life? Because, instead of just eliminating all human life, which then eliminates animal suffering, in farms and stuff.
Because most of animal suffering is in nature, right? And also, no life deserves to suffer. Without total extinction, there's still going to be horrific suffering for whether it's animals or humans.
I also sort of feel like that suffering in the context that we know it only exists from the human perspective in the modern human era since the 19th century, even to the Middle Ages when, people really started living in large...
before then?
Well, yeah, no, obviously people got tortured, but I just feel like we're talking about an existential suffering that could, drive someone to kill themselves.
That's not the only type.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ranga, thank you for coming on and teaching us that suffering was only invented 200 years ago. Appreciate the lesson. Okay, moving on to John next. John, hello. Okay, not sure what's going on there. I actually couldn't make out what was on camera. I don't know if anyone else could. Was it just a person on a sofa?
Hi, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good, thank you.
I actually aligned myself with the movement. I mean, I only discovered it, I'd say 2 days ago. So I'm still kind of trying to process everything, but from a logical standpoint, everything that I've heard you present makes perfect sense. And I have practically no how can I say, no objection. But just to play devil's advocate, because I was talking to myself, trying to muster up any points against what you guys say, just to try and prove it wrong, and well, what I was thinking is, at the end of the day, the core of your philosophy comes down to how we can quantify suffering, because it's a little subjective, let's compare just 2 lives. Obviously the earth has way more than just 2 people, but if we compare just 2 lives, right, and one is born and they have everything, right, they're fed a silver spoon, not necessarily the best life ever lived, but they have a privileged life, right? They are born in the first world, they have their basic resources, friends, family, love, etc. And no sickness. And then the second life, let's say they're born in considerably worse circumstances, but they have family and they have love and they have moments of joy. And let's say that second individual, on a subjective level, genuinely wants to live, right? Like they suffer a lot, but they do value their life. They want to continue living. And let's say this movement does take over the world and we do extinct all life.
Yeah.
How can we say that the suffering we caused upon that individual that wanted to live was quantifiably less painful than the amount of suffering that we ended on a subjective level? Because it's really subjective, you know. I don't know how we could.
I mean, yeah, that just wouldn't be a practical way to operate, right? To assume that one person could suffer worse than Googles of people, right? So yeah, that person might suffer terribly, but there's nothing to say it won't happen again or worse. So just on a practical sense and level, yeah, we can't assume extremes like that. Because you're assuming the worst for him and the best for every life form after him, right? That's not a practical way to do it.
No. I'm saying, how can we quantify suffering on an individual lens? Like that person I mentioned.
You don't have to.
But how can you say you have the right to end their lives then, if we don't have a way to quantify what we're ending?
Well,
you know.
Well, you're ending essentially the potential for unlimited suffering and infinite suffering.
Yeah, see, I mean, I literally cannot come up with a counter argument. Like, you're right. Like, I agree with you. That's like the best, that was the best counter argument I've been able to muster up myself, is that maybe you could come at it from a point of you're going against people's free will, and maybe their subjective enjoyment outweighs the subjective suffering for their life individually that you'd be ending.
It's better safe than sorry. It's better safe than sorry.
Exactly. It is better safe than, like, even that just crumbles. It doesn't make, like, yeah. I mean, as sad as it is, because it literally goes against every impulse in my brain to want to live and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We evolved to have an overwhelming survival instinct, but actually the rational decision is that it's better to rest in peace than to live in danger.
It does really suck. One last question before I go off, because that was mostly what I wanted to ask. How do you like cope in day-to-day life? I mean, do you just live your life? Because this is kind of a pretty life-altering realization to come to.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I guess I'm very alien to the rest of society, right? I always grew up thinking that the world was crazy, right? You got people obsessed with football, and I just never understood it, right? I could never understand how can they put so much time and effort into something so silly.
Yeah.
So that's it. We live in clown world basically, and I can't get on board with it. I wouldn't be able to just live a normal life in this world of exploitation and abuse and cruelty. And even allowing the suffering, if you're not causing it yourself, is still terrible. So how do I cope? Well, it's difficult. My friends and my family, they think it's a terrible idea. They think I'm crazy. But what the hope I'm holding on to, I guess, for myself personally, is that the movement is going to get bigger. It's going to get easier. We're going to have more people join. The community will get bigger, and we won't feel as much like we're the only crazy person screaming into a crowd that disagrees with you. I didn't start the movement, obviously. There's dozens of us, but hopefully going forward as it gets bigger, I think that's going to make life easier for me. But even if it doesn't, I'll still be doing it anyway. As selfless people, we know that our help is needed, basically.
Okay. I'd really in my free time, because I don't, like I said, it goes against my impulses. So I'm like really struggling to accept that this is likely to be true. So I'm probably gonna spend a bunch of time continuing to try to muster up any counter arguments.
Good, do it. Yeah, I mean, look, when I joined the movement, for the first 2 or 3 months, I was still confused. I had big questions, and I was embarrassed to ask those questions to the other people in the movement because I thought I would look silly. But you know, those stupid questions or those embarrassing questions, the reason we have to ask them is because we evolved to be unintelligent, and part of that means having unintelligent opinions or doubts and questions. So you have to suck it up and realize that it's not that you're stupid, it's just that evolution has done this to everyone. And yeah, you know, again, the first 2 or 3 months after I joined and started doing activism, I had loads of stupid questions and I felt really embarrassed asking them, but I did, and now I get it. Now I understand better. And yeah.
Okay, so it's like if I wanted to have, say, a discussion like this about any counter arguments I would come up with, do you have like an email or something that I could, because I don't really want to wait for a live on
Yeah, I'd say
chance,
it's
you know
best
what
to
I
join
mean?
the Discord, and then
Okay.
you can talk to me and the other activists. They can answer your questions too. But I'm on the Discord. I'm a big Discord user. I love Discord, so I'll be talking to everyone on there.
Is it in the bio? Is it in
Yeah.
your... Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
if you go on the website and then scroll to the bottom, there's a link to the Discord. You can
Okay.
also just search on Google "Abolish Suffering Discord," and it should be the first link.
Okay, okay. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. And I
Awesome.
really appreciate the movement too. I'm not, you know, obviously, like I said, I'm not 100% certain, but I practically am. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm kind of, my brain is just hoping subconsciously to try and find something that
Most people are, you know, trying to get rid of extinction, right? But
Yeah.
you're trying to get more of it, so that's good, right? You're going in the right direction.
Okay. Have a great rest of the live, man. I'll stay tuned. I'm still gonna be in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's again, that's, you know, we've had several people coming up saying that they want to join the movement and giving support. It's been a really good stream today. Very encouraging, and you know, I hope everyone watching can see that yeah, people are joining the movement. It's not useless. You know, someone was commenting on my videos today, you're putting out video after video and no one's joining, so what's the point? And I'm like, well, actually, it's going really well, actually. Lots of people are joining every single day. I mean, the Discord must get like, I don't know, like 20 to 40 new people each day. And yes, most of them are time wasters, or, you know, they're not serious about getting into activism, but lots of them are, okay? And every day it's getting bigger and easier. And yet this is the hardest part right now. So this, with the stage we're in right now, is where it's most difficult to believe in extinctionism. And part of that is because we do rely on you know, society's opinions to feed our own opinions. Like, oh, that will, you know, people would think that's crazy, so it must be. So yeah, it's difficult because we're such a small movement right now. But as we get bigger, it's going to become more and more obvious that we are right and that we are going to grow fast. Look, we have literally logic on our side, right? We have the correct ethics and morality on our side. So that's never going to go away. That's the biggest advantage you could possibly have. So we have lots of advantages on our side. And yeah, it's difficult when the world is full of such awkward people. And yeah, we're in the most difficult stage of it now, the stage where it's hardest to believe in. But the more you learn about it and the more you understand that suffering is terrible and unacceptable and that it will never end without extinction, then yeah, the more it's like, well, this is the only thing that makes sense. You know, I don't want to just enjoy all the suffering in this world. I want to try and stop it. So how else are you going to do that? And if you're not fighting to end all suffering forever, then you're by default allowing some, right? That's what vegans are doing. They're fighting for a small group of sufferers. No, we need a universal system for all sufferers. You know, nobody should be left out, and we can do that. It's the only ethical thing to do. The more selfish you are, the less you want to help life, the less you want to universal coverage for life. And the more selfless you are, the kind of... So like the selfish people are like, oh, let's just do human extinction, or I won't have a kid myself, right? And then, you know, the more selfless you get, eventually it's like, we need to do as much as possible to help as much life as possible. That's the conclusion, right? That's selfishness to selflessness. Why animals, Larissa is asking? Because animals suffer worse than we do. and even if they didn't, nobody deserves to suffer. And in this world, everyone is in infinite danger of suffering, unlimited danger, right? You know, the only danger isn't stubbing your toe. You could get hit by a car and become a vegetable, begging for death, but you've got no euthanasia in your country or something. You can be trapped into hell very easily at any time, right? You could have a stroke, an aneurysm, you could get kidnapped, you could get cancer. Your life can become a pure living hell at any time, and animals have it even worse than we do. How do you plan on achieving total extinction? We have to grow the movement until we have enough people to change the world, make it against suffering. And that has to happen anyway. The world is run by criminals and billionaires like Trump, so we need to change the leadership of the world and make it ethical and moral. And we want to run the world. We have to run the world for extinction to work. It's the only way, because we're not talking about releasing a virus or something stupid. We're talking about running the world as the government, doing an organized, bit-by-bit, structured euthanasia and extinction for animals while removing our dependence on them, so that eventually we can have, you know, food and live without any animals. And then we can research how to prevent life coming back on Earth and prevent life developing for as much of the universe as possible as well. So we may be able to pass that job on to AI and robots who can continue doing the science and see if we can get to other planets, and if we can, you know, do a nuclear winter for them, or something even better, which is going to prevent life developing on those planets and other parts of the universe. You know, life could develop on other stuff, not just planets. So yeah, you know, the AI and robots, they've got billions of years to do that. They can just go and do it. So, you know, you don't have to say, oh, you know, you're crazy, you want universe-wide extinction. No, we're just saying it's going to be very easy to pass that on to AI. It would be stupid not to, right? You'd be just throwing away billions of years of science and suffering prevention that AI can do for Earth and for other planets potentially. So yeah, it's literally the rational way and plan and roadmap to prevent as much suffering as possible for as much of the world as possible. It's non-discriminatory, meaning, you know, we have to consider if our moral obligation stops at Earth or if it goes beyond that. And so moral, to be responsible, you have to consider potential life as well. And our research actually shows that the universe is much more likely to be full of life than previously expected. Okay, the queue is currently empty, so yeah, we're looking for some people to join up, have some more discussions and conversations, debates. Now's your chance if you want to talk. There's literally nobody in the queue, so now's the time. All right, we're going to get Hans back on because there's nobody else. Hans,
Well,
how you
hello
doing?
again. One question. Why would you say go back, play video games if you know that if you're telling person that I will come up forcefully and then, you know, unalive you, which is really a crime, and considering the fact it's a threatening with a human, well, death, exactly.
It's not a
What do you have
crime
to say
because
about that?
it was a hypothetical.
Hypothetical? I don't think it's a hypothetical if you are
It is.
saying this exactly and being serious about it. And so, first of
No,
all,
because
if you're claiming yourself to be superior over other humankind and race, what would you do exactly if I come up to your house with the police force and take you down? What would you do exactly about it? Well, you got no superiority now in the authority, eh? Nothing else you got but, you know, a big mouth or a TikTok could say, and then your organization can basically plan the forceful extermination over what you do not know, claim, or have any knowledge of an animal.
You sound very
So
angry,
exactly
Hans.
what I
You
have
sound
heard
angry.
about it and investigated. Your organization is just full of joke and people that do not know anything about life. No knowledge of anything exactly. And telling me by go back to play video games is just like, I don't know, saying that I do not want to answer you exactly fully as an adult, but be an idiot exactly and have big mouth on the TikTok.
What do you play? Counter-Strike or?
I do not play video games. I report people like you and take them down if I need to. Always. Foolish
Okay.
people like you are psychopaths who just smile over, I don't know, people's answers, saying that if anybody else wants to live, they can live. But your answer was no, basically. And so what was that no exactly about?
Well, look, nobody deserves to suffer, right? So the only right thing is a suffering-free world, Hans. We have to cause that no matter what it takes.
And for the suffering, there is a reason and exactly meaning in the suffering. You cannot overpass this. If you are
So
going to
if that,
die exactly, you're not going to find any meaning in that. If you are
let me ask you a
suffering, you're
question.
going to find a meaning in this.
Let me ask you a question then. So
Yes.
if you think suffering's okay, then why is it wrong to abuse children?
Why? Excuse me, ask me a question again? I didn't hear
Yeah,
that.
if suffering is totally good and not a problem, then why is it a problem to cause suffering to children?
For the children, exactly, I can tell you that there are actual children, as you're right, you have suffering with many things, but you cannot exactly decide that you have to kill them exactly for
Yeah,
their
but you're not
suffering.
answering the question.
Yeah, I am answering question. You do not have to exactly, well, decide for them, so the answer is you do not have any authority of that deciding
But
on
do you
what they
know
can
who
and
is
have to do, even
do you
if
know
they're
who is
suffering.
deciding for them? Right now,
Well-
children are being born into the dungeons and basements of pedophiles. So that's who's currently making the decision. I think
So
yes, I should
dungeon-
make the decision for them.
So even for the dungeons and pedophiles, but exactly, for you saying this exactly, I do not know where it is coming from the source, but where exactly in the dungeon are you saying they were born? I do not think that's kind of a thing even about,
Really?
okay, it
Google
can be a
it.
thing
Google it.
exactly where
It's
the
absolutely
pedophiles
child
are using
trafficking is a
children
real
as a
thing.
tools.
Child trafficking is a real thing, Hans. Be
Okay,
serious.
yes, I
Grow
agree
up.
with you with that, but
Grow up.
what exactly you're telling me that you have authority over the children to kill them exactly for
Who
their
has the
suffering?
authority right now, Hans? It's pedophiles that have got them handcuffed to a bed.
All right, I see
But
what
that's
you
who
mean
you
exactly.
prefer to have the authority.
Oh, still no authority over you, man. Still nothing. No answers. Clearly, I understood from you, but all I understood is you want to just kill. Well, I
But
don't
you
know. It was a
prefer that
bloodthirsty
children be
one, me
born
and
into
you.
dungeons and handcuffed to beds. That's what's happening right now.
In the dungeons, yeah, exactly. I do know many people are born
Okay,
in
Hans
such
is
bad
saying he's totally
environments.
happy with that, so let's get him out of here. Because he's saying, yeah, it's good. No, you can't come on here and say that children being born into dungeons is a good thing, Hans. You're cooked, you're finished, you're served. And yeah, sadly, the queue is completely empty. When I'm saying that, I'm usually lying. Okay, it's actually usually not true. There's usually like a troll or two in the queue, like Hans. But right now, it's no longer empty. Hans is in the queue. But he's just going to come on and say that we should all commit acts of child abuse. So we can't do that because what if someone listens to Hans and actually goes and does it, right? So we can't let disgusting people like Hans on. Hans is going to use those same hands against the children, okay? He's saying, yeah, it's fine. Bit of suffering gives meaning. Keep your hands to yourself. Okay, let's see who else we got. Right, well, while we're waiting for somebody else to join the queue because it's completely empty, we can take some comments and questions from the chat. Yeah, Hans was saying, you're fighting against child abuse, well, I'm going to come and kill you. Hans is clearly a child abuse supporter. Remove me from live stream doesn't serve anything. It gets your, child abuse support off the stream. We suffer because we are a flawed species and our brains are complicated and feel many complex feelings. I don't know, like every species suffers. So you're going to say every species is flawed? I mean, you could say that, yeah, but it's, what's the alternative, right? It's to be God, basically. Anything else is flawed, technically. So you're not really making a good point there. We suffer, we shouldn't suffer, so let's do something about it. You're the person from To Your Eternity. I actually, I love that show, and I have actually thought that, yes, I am like the enemy, the villain from that show. There's an anime that someone in the chat's mentioning, and the villain is like this weird sort of, spiritual sort of creatures that are trying to kill everyone in order to save them from suffering. And the heroes are trying to fight them off. We would be them. Okay, we've finally got some people in the queue. Let's bring them up. Leo, hello.
Stop smoking, we love you. Stop smoking, we love you. Stop smoking, we love you. And we don't want you to die. We don't want you to die. We don't want you to die. We don't want you to die.
I love it. Thank you for that, Leo. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Leo, everyone. That was brilliant. And that was a genuine live performance, I believe. And yeah, we should stop smoking and do better things for our health, such as extinction. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. How are you? First of all, I would like to thank you for this movement. It's quite interesting. I'm not sure where I stand on it, but it's nice hearing other opinions and stuff like that. But however, there's one thing. What if, like, instead of fighting for total extinction, maybe we can, like, work our way with the governments and these like decision makers to eliminate suffering. So we build these like non-for-profit organizations that can take up as much animals as we can, and as does for like humans, like people in poverty, like we can make organizations that help people in suffering. And I'm sorry, Annie, I hope you understood. I hope my point was clear. I'm not really good at articulating my thoughts, as English is not my first language. But yeah, I think we can, it's possible. If it's possible to reach total extinction, then we can also reach total, like eliminate suffering, like total bliss, if you want to call it. Like if that's possible, then the other thing is possible as well.
Not necessarily.
Right? How not?
The thing is that to have total safety from suffering, you'd need like magic, basically. So, if I have a child right now, there's no way to guarantee that they won't have a terrible life. But if I don't have one, then I can guarantee that. So, yeah, if we took control of the world tomorrow, it would be unethical to try and end suffering without extinction, because that would be allowing the sufferers to keep suffering while you try and create pleasure at their expense.
You have a point, to be honest. And somebody said greed. So I think some human traits, like us in our human nature, I think maybe it would not be possible to like maybe reach that. But I don't know. It's just a thought I had.
The thing is, even if you do that, right, and you make a really good world where, the suffering is barely any suffering, only 1% of the population is suffering, that's still unfair. It's still cruel and wrong, right? Nobody should have to suffer so that others can have fun. And suffering infinitely outweighs pleasure and life. Infinitely outweighs it. It's not like a 1-to-1 ratio.
Do you think? But how do you know that if it's outweighs? Like, we don't know what goes on. Like, like sometimes you'd see people in war or like, they're obviously suffering. But at the same time, there's always a miracle in our everyday life, something that makes us want to stay alive. You know what I mean?
Right. But
and that's
what I'm
sometimes
saying
those miracles for me, like being alive, okay? Like being alive and smoking weed and raving and hearing music. For me, it outweighs the suffering. And I don't mind bringing children into the world if I know I will make them happy. And I have the means to do that. So why the fuck not? You fucking white racist cunt, go suck my ass!
Okay, thank you to that rational, logical, intelligent person. I feel humbled before their wisdom and their intellect. I will immediately follow them and learn from them. They have a lot to teach, and I feel humbled. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Thank you. Hello, how you doing?
How you doing, bud? You all right, man? I'm sorry. That was a lot.
What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing?
Oh, I said, I'm doing good, bro. I said, that was a lot. You all right? That sounded like when she started screaming at you, that was a lot. I said that that wasn't
crazy,
necessary.
right?
That wasn't.
I didn't
that
see
wasn't
it
necessary.
coming.
But I didn't either. She sounded pretty chill. She sounded like she might be from like France or something. They're pretty passionate. But what made you come to this? Did something happen to you, bud? Like, what happened to you for you to like realize, like, man, not only do I not need to exist, you didn't even say just humans. I was like, damn, bro, that's crazy. You said animals, plants, but you're not the first person I've heard of this. It's like, I forgot if it's like extreme nihilistic tendencies or something like that, but there's people that just don't believe that life should exist at all. Well, how did you get to that conclusion?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that believe
Maybe
that,
it's understandable.
but there's
Yeah.
not many people actually doing activism to make it happen like we are. So how did I get to this position? Well, in 2019, I realized that the world was too terrible and that I had to do something about it. And then eventually last year, about a year ago, the movement contacted me and said, join us and help end all suffering. And I said, oh my God,
Who
great.
said that? Who said that? Who said that?
Yeah, someone called Luke, who is from Poland, one of our activists from Poland. They found me and they got me into the movement. I didn't start the movement. There's loads of activists trying to get people to join and help grow it.
Mhm. So the movement's called Pro Extinction. That's it.
The Pro Extinction movement.
The Pro Extinction movement. So how would y'all go about this extinction? Just stopping procreation, or is this like some like what's that one called where y'all get together, drink the Kool-Aid? Is that the deal, or
we need to run the world as a government and then start carrying out animal extinction while removing our dependence on them. Research how to prevent life developing on Earth and maybe the rest of the universe. Maybe get AI and robots to try and do that. And then we make humanity go forcefully extinct. No sterilization or anything like that. It'll be as fast as possible.
When you say as fast as possible, what do you mean by that, brother?
So we won't be like letting people live out their lives or anything. We'll just be using euthanasia.
So you're talking about like gas chambering many people to like get them like
not necessarily a chamber, but
yeah, I know, but mass extinction process.
there might be
such
gas.
as-
There might be gas. Yeah, there could be gas, but I don't know about chambers.
I know. I don't think I'm not really focused on the specificity of the of the elimination, but mass elimination would be the point. Would be the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you would be in favor of like, let's say like a nuclear holocaust right now. That'd be like a good thing to you. No, because there's a chance that humanity could survive after the nuclear holocaust.
And animals too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Animals too. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. So what made you come to this conclusion? Just the world looked bad. You're like, dude, and not just humans. Everything gotta go.
Yeah. No, it's really about understanding that suffering is unacceptable. Full stop. Basically.
Who says that though?
We've looked into it and we've thought about it, and most humans.
Who is
can't-
we?
Well,
Who is
me and
we?
everyone in the movement.
So what makes the movement's perception of suffering or life better than anyone else's?
Well, it's a genetic thing. Some people are born with more empathy, with more intelligence, and
What race are the people in this group?
We've got people from all over the world. It started in India, but
started in India? That's hilarious. There's so many people in India.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, dude. So Indian. What? So there's an Indian guy named Luke, and he was just like, everything needs to die.
No, Luke's from Poland, and the Indian guy is called Steve, and he says that everything needs to not suffer.
But by not suffering, he's like, everything just needs to not exist, which is like the most simplistic answer.
Most effective and realistic answer.
If you effective is subjective, isn't it? Because like I said, and you really didn't answer my question. You said that the people in the group have a superior moral grounding, but what is that based upon?
Genetics. We were born that way.
Who said that? Who told you that?
We've done the science on it. We've looked into it. We've researched it. Found out.
Science. What is? what is the basis of the science? You talking quantum mechanics? You're talking biology? What scientific
Neuroscience,
basis?
biology, evolution. Look, I've done loads of videos on it. You can watch them on my channel.
So okay, I definitely will. I also make videos as well. I definitely want to check it out because you're an interesting fella. I'm just like, so you're saying that you're genetically superior, and because you're genetically superior, you have come to the conclusion with your master brain that suffering outweighs any good that could come of life, and we should just eliminate all suffering for all beings across the planet. But my main thing is like, what science said that you and your friends are the moral superior and high grounds to make that decision? Like, what science supports that is my question.
Yeah, evolutionary science supports that. Humanity evolved to be irrational and unintelligent so that they would have more children. The smarter ones, don't do that and they go extinct, basically. So evolution, picks for the less intelligent ones.
So smart people do not have children, is what you're saying?
I would say that they're less likely to have 10 kids like Becky down the street is, right?
You're right about that, but that's not having children. That's not your original statement. So you kind of floundered on your statement. Your original statement was that smart people don't have children, so they are extinct. They go extinct. Stupid people have children, so they stay.
Yeah.
So smart people don't have children, right?
Look, it's generalizing, right? But it is true that the dumber you are, the more kids you have.
Okay, based upon what though? Based upon
Becky down the street. She told me.
Based upon Elon Musk Peter Thiel has 122 children, and he's one of the smartest people that have ever existed IQ-wise. So how can he be stupid and have 122 children? Elon Musk, who is one of the leaders of Tesla
look,
and
we
all these
live in
other
a world
things, is he
of
also
unintelligent people, right? Because the vast majority of the intelligent people
Based
don't have.
based upon
10
what,
kids.
brother?
You're talking about exceptions to the rule, not the rule. So you got it upside down.
You are also, but you're also talking about exceptions to the rule because most people don't have 10 kids. Statistically, we're both talking about statistical outliers.
Go to India.
Yeah. Okay, what? Okay, I guess. Well, then maybe you should just extinct India, but that's not the whole world. And even in India, most people don't have 10 children. We can look up the average child in India. It's probably not more than 4. But even then, I'm saying your statement is that smart people don't have kids. Stupid people do.
that's oversimplifying.
Okay. Maybe I'm oversimplifying. You're okay. You can't be more simple than we just all need to die, so none of us suffer. That's about as simple as it gets. That is the simplest idea.
Well, the thing is, right?
Go ahead.
The thing is, no suffering is acceptable, right? And if it is, then what makes child abuse wrong?
That's not how that works, though. It's not really how that works. Bro.
That absolutely is. That is how it works. It's about moral coherence.
Explain that. Okay, explain it to me.
Look, if you say suffering is acceptable, then why is it wrong to abuse? Okay, but if we're not,
that's not.
Okay, but if we accept that suffering is unacceptable, then we have to. It would be hypocritical not to help abolish suffering. Then, right?
Okay, now stop. Yeah, okay. Now let me push back on that thought right there. Let's stop right there. So yes, suffering is unacceptable, and people do things to try to negate that suffering in their own ways. However, the idea that the only way to negate suffering is by killing everything on the planet, that is a conclusion that
How else are you going to do it?
First of all, your focus on suffering might be your problem. That might be your problem.
But no, your lack of focus on suffering is the problem of the sufferers.
See how it's a two-way street? But everyone's a sufferer. So if everyone's a sufferer, no one's a sufferer, brother.
Well, that's just, a way to dismiss the sufferers in a childish way.
I think it sounds almost like you and your friends just
Pablo,
everyone.
Pablo, your ultimate argument is, well, everyone suffers, so nobody suffers. Like, okay, you're cooked. You're out of here. Okay, as I've explained a million times, this show is and always will be people coming on, sounding maybe kind of okay, and then just getting progressively more irrational until they have to. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. Hi, James.
Hi.
So, is that... Hello, can you hear me?
A little bit.
Hello?
Yes, what's your question?
Okay, I think I'm lagging a little.
Yeah, you are lagging a bit, so we're going to move on. Let's see who we got next. Hello.
Hey, so what do you think? What's your ideology?
Extinctionism, that's my ideology.
Okay, but like, why? Like, is it because like you don't want people to suffer, or?
Yeah, it's because we care about the sufferers. Most people don't, but we do.
Yeah, but like, how about like, wouldn't you say that there are like multiple uh like other things you could use to fix this problem with like
Like
suffering and
what?
stuff?
Like what?
Like, like perhaps you could like invent a thing which like a fucking chip in your brain or something, which like removes fucking suffering. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a great idea. And you know what? I support doing that. But the thing is, I don't think you can do that for ants and mosquitoes, right? So animals suffer terribly. We can't really help them any way other than extinction.
Well, like animals, like not all animals have like self-conscious, and like like it's kind of hard
Well,
to say
no.
that
If you punch an
type of stuff.
animal, it does suffer.
It does, but like you know what, you're right to some degree, but like I don't know what to say. Like I don't know how to like get all to debate this because it
There
seems
is no way to
reasonable.
debate it. There's no argument against it. So you're trying to think of an argument against it, but there isn't one, basically. You can't say that some suffering is acceptable and that we shouldn't try and abolish suffering, because if you do say that, then you're basically saying that child abuse is okay.
Well, wait, how am I saying that child abuse is okay though?
I'm saying that unless you say that all suffering is wrong, then you're saying that child abuse is okay, that it's not wrong.
Well, yeah, that's quite fair actually.
Yeah, our
But
point is that all suffering is wrong, right? And what everyone tries to do is say, well, no, they suffer badly, they don't. Animals don't suffer as badly. Those people suffering, they can just kill themselves, right? It's ridiculous, right? We need to care about all life and understand that all life suffers terribly. And the unluckiest victims of each species, they suffer horrifically, so badly that it's not worth it, right? And life doesn't even need to exist. It's just what nature has spat out, and all it's doing is causing suffering. It's just a meat grinder, and you can't say suffering's acceptable without saying child abuse is acceptable, because that's suffering, right?
yeah, so like how would you even go about doing this? Like
So
how do you do this?
yeah, so we grow the movement until we have enough people to change the world, make it against suffering. That has to happen anyway. It's run by criminals and dictators. So we need to run the world ethically and morally, and that includes extinctionism. So once we run the world, we will start carrying out animal extinction while removing our dependence on animals, so that we can have food without animals. And then we research how to prevent life developing again on Earth, and to prevent life for as much of the universe as possible. We can maybe send robots and AI to do that for billions of years. And then we forcefully make humanity go extinct as soon as possible. The problem is life. The problem is being alive in danger. So the sooner you cease to exist, the better. And so we won't make it optional, and people can't make this decision for themselves. It's not nice to ask them to unalive themselves, and most of them won't want to do it. They'll want to keep having kids and forcing them to suffer for billions of more years. So yeah, you have to just forcefully do it. You have to use force to defend the victims of suffering.
That's actually quite fair. Like I don't think there are any like more arguments, but it's kind of like it's like crazy to say, but like it's somewhat like true to some degree, But I just can't like explain it in words, but it's really interesting view actually.
Yeah, and thank you for coming up. I appreciate your questions. And that's a perfect example of, people struggle to understand extinctionism. I've made lots of videos about this in the last day or two. It's because they evolved to be unable to understand why life is a bad thing, right? People can't wrap their heads around this, but it's true. We evolved to be unable to understand why life and suffering is bad. And, the more ignorant you are to that, the more kids you're going to have, right? The more you realize that, suffering is terrible, the less likely you are to have a kid and then, watch them get, horrific depression and commit suicide, because you care about them. So that's the responsible thing, is to care about suffering, to watch out for suffering and sort of prevent it. Whereas everyone right now, they're like, just, go and have as many kids as you want, who cares, right? Think about it this way. There's not a single country in the world that requires you to have a license to have a child, and not to have an animal either, right? You can just go into a shop and buy an animal, take them home, get the knives out, and just start torturing them, right? You just start punching them in the face, whatever you want. You bury them in the garden, no one's going to know. So, that's the level of respect that our society has for life, that you can just go into a shop, buy any animal you want, take it home, torture it for years, and no one will know. Nothing's stopping you from doing that. And it's the same with human children, right? It's the exact same. There's no license required to have a kid right now, which means that anyone can do it. So, unless you're speaking up for this, then you're doing nothing about it. You're allowing it. You're supporting it by default through inaction, right? So you don't have anyone in the chat saying, yeah, it's wrong that all these child abusers are having kids, and anyone can just have a kid. Psychopaths can have kids, drug addicts can have kids, alcoholics can have kids. No one's saying that. They just don't care, right? And they're not saying about animals. Look, if we take power, pets will be banned. It'll be completely illegal to have a pet, to buy an animal, to own a pet. Animals should not just be owned for fun, okay? And yet that's what we're doing right now. Anyone can just abuse animals, eat animals, right? We don't care about life as a society. Our standards and conditions for life are just as low as they could possibly be, right? Anyone can have a kid and start abusing them, and they are doing it. Anyone can have a pet and start abusing it, and they are doing it. And no one's saying that this should stop. No one's saying, oh, this is crazy, let's do activism to change this. Everyone's just sat at home saying, yeah, not my problem. So that's incredibly unethical, it's incredibly selfish, and we have to change this system. We have to start understanding that life doesn't deserve to be forced to exist in danger. Life doesn't deserve to be in extreme danger and the worst conditions possible. Animals don't deserve to be in nature, where over 99% get eaten alive as a child, right? If you saw a human baby get eaten alive, you'd probably never sleep again, right? And yet we don't care if it happens to animals, right? And you can say, well, don't humans suffer worse than animals? Well, are humans being eaten alive every single day? No. So, no, we don't suffer worse than animals. We actually have the best conditions, okay? We have houses, we have medicine. Animals in nature, what do they have? They don't have medicine, they've got parasites, they've got no shelter, they're starving to death, freezing to death in the winter. Right, they have the worst conditions, the worst suffering possible, and yet the most, they're the most ignored. So it's genuinely as upside down as it could possibly be, where people care the most about human suffering, even though they have the least suffering. Then they care about farmed animals who have less suffering than wild animals. And then finally, oh wait, no, they don't. It doesn't get that far, right? They care about humans, some of them care about farmed animals, and nobody cares about wild animals, even though they're the largest population on the planet with the worst suffering out of everyone. So it's genuinely as upside down as it could possibly be. Our ethics, our morality is just a joke. Like, we are living in clown world, like the worst clown world possible. Okay, so I'm going to do another couple guests. We're going to bring some more people up, but I am going to be going soon-ish. So it's not going to go on for hours more. It's going to go on for maybe another 10, 15 minutes. Okay, let's get someone else up before that. So I'm going to work my way through the queue, starting at the bottom. Okay, there's a few ghosts in the queue, so... Oh! Few ghosts. Hello! Hello! Okay,
Hello.
yeah. He was trying to troll. Got him. Okay, let's move on to the next person. King Smiley, bringing them up now. King Smiley joining the stage. Hello.
So, what is your what is extinctionism?
It's about actively causing extinction for as much life as possible.
How?
Euthanasia or whatever means are necessary.
But how are we going to do that?
Yeah, so we have to grow the movement until we have enough people to change the world and make it understand that suffering is wrong. And then, yeah, whether it's a revolution or whatever,
But people
take
will
power.
revolt. People are going to be against that. They'll fight
Yeah, but
back.
people are against everything, right? So, you know, you just have to
But
do it
no,
anyway.
people are going to fight against that. Do you know how many people are going to fight against that?
Well, you know, even if they do, you know, that's the, you know, we're not going to give up just because of that.
How?
Damn.
How? How are we
Well,
going to do that?
when they ended slavery in America, they had to fight a war, right? People fought against them. We're trying to stop them from ending slavery. So they won, though.
How's that slavery? How's living
you
life
know-
how is starting a family, wanting to care for
it's
them?
absolutely slavery because you're
How is
forcing
slavery?
someone to exist.
Eating slaves and killing them is the equivalent of having a family.
It can potentially cause
Whipping-
just as
whipping.
much suffering, if not more.
You know I'm black, right?
It can potentially cause just as much suffering, if
How?
not more.
How?
How not, right? Being alive, you're in unlimited risk of suffering, so anything can happen.
That makes no sense.
What, so you think someone with, like, extreme chronic pain and illness doesn't suffer worse than a slave?
Well, yes.
Well, then it does
They
make
can
sense,
go to
doesn't
a
it?
hospital for that. They're not
Well-
against their will to not go to a
Oh,
hospital.
what, so there's,
They
I
care.
didn't know that we'd cured every illness. When did that happen?
We can't do that. But we
Okay,
can
so
do that.
so you can't just go to a
Scientists
hospital.
are actively.
Oh, you've got a terrible
trying to cure.
illness? Well, didn't you guys know you can just go to the hospital? Problem solved.
No, that's not it.
That's what you said.
No, it's not.
Okay, well,
I said that.
I think you're a slave to your own ignorance then, because that is what you said. Okay, let's see who else we got. Who else we got in the queue? Yeah, I did go there. All right, who else we got? Yeah, the queue is looking pretty empty again. So, should we do one more person? I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to end it there, guys. So, yeah, join the Discord through the website. You can click on my profile. You can click on the button to the website, read about us. At the bottom of the website, there's the Discord and the WhatsApp link. You can join there, join the movement, ask us questions, ask us your embarrassing questions. That's the only way to learn and do better about the movement. Yeah, so, you know, when I joined, I was asking really terrible questions, embarrassing questions, but that's the only way to learn and to do better. And you're going to ask embarrassing questions because we evolved to not understand this. So that's why it's hard to think about. That's why it's confusing. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And thank you also for helping me get to 10,000 followers. It's been pretty cool for the channel. Pretty, you know, rewarding to get there. And yeah, watch the videos that I've put out today. Follow my channel. And come and talk to me on Discord. Come and talk to everyone else there. There's dozens of us who all are working towards the same thing with the same ethics and same morality. So come and meet some other people that are doing extinction. And we have dozens of people on TikTok now making videos and live streaming debates as well. It's not just me. So yeah, it really is growing and taking off. So join us and help us fight for a suffering-free world. For animals, for humans, for all life. Get involved today.